Hasn't aged too well, that song, has it? You know.
What?
Can you imagine going up to someone and going, "Hey, do you know the only thing that looked good on me is you"?
But there was a thing in the news that the girls still love the cheesy lines. Apparently, were you any good at that? I was never no.
No, I never knew what to say if someone liked me, didn't like me.
Yeah, I didn't have the ding dongs to do it.
What's the ding dongs?
You know.
Oh, they got I get you.
Yeah.
And it's too late now that you probably have them.
yeah, I know.
You say the youth is wasted on the young.
Oh God, I've been thinking on that one. Come here, lovely blue skies coming to work.
Lovely,
wasn't it?
Absolutely lovely.
Sure, that was nice. Are we going to get? Are we going to get a hot spell?
That's it.
Because I have 6 days holidays. I want to see book them wisely.
I think you might have to leave the country to get any weather for those.
What about an Indian summer? They were saying there's no more of that. No.
Seems unlikely. You know, they can look at 10 days in advance, right? So that brings us very close to the end of September.
All right.
So I think you're either going to have to dress up or get on a plane.
No, there'll be no plane. There'll be no plane. No.
Boat to France?
Nope.
Okay. Well, sure, look at
staycation.
Enjoy your 6 days. Anyway, you're not allowed to take them for a while yet because you've just had a weekend off.
Yeah, I know. Well deserved.
It was, of course, yeah, indeed.
Self-praise. Right, come here, have a good
show.
All
right, Gooch, take care of yourself, buddy. He's back with you, of course, tomorrow morning at 6:30. It's 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update and cross over now to Michaela Clark. Good morning, Michaela.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A report by the United Nations Commission says Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. It's been looking into this since the Hamas attacks in 2023, claiming it's clear there is an intent to destroy the Palestinians in the enclave. It alleges Israel's committed 4 of the 5 acts laid out in the Genocide Convention. Meanwhile, Israel's defence minister says Gaza is burning after fresh attacks overnight. Residents have reported heavy strikes, with hospital officials saying at least 5 Palestinians, including 2 children, have been killed. 2 people were hospitalised following a multi-vehicle crash in Milford yesterday evening. The 3-vehicle collision occurred at around 5:30 on the Milford to Ramelton Road. A woman aged in her 40s and a girl were taken to Letterkenny University Hospital for treatment to what Garda have described as non-life-threatening injuries. Social Democrats TD Owen Hayes will not attend his party's pre-Dáil Thinking this morning. It's after it emerged he dressed in blackface for a Halloween costume in 2009. The Dublin Bay South has apologised for dressing up as former US President Barack Obama. It's the latest controversy to face Owen Hayes since he was elected as a TD. Dr. Lucy Michael, former research lead at the Irish Network Against Racism, says his apology is a good first start.
And the second thing is, what actions has he taken? He says he's learned. He even went on to campaign for Obama. He says, I'd love to know what Obama would have thought of being caricatured as a Halloween costume back in 2009. And this wasn't just an ordinary student, by the way. This was the president of University College Cork Student Union, somebody who already clearly had political ambitions.
Donegal County Council is currently conducting a review of public toilets across the county with the aim of developing a prioritised list of potential upgrades and improvements. The council is also seeking additional staff to assist with the provision of and maintenance of public conveniences in the county. Responding to a motion from Councillor Declan Meehan, officials confirmed they intend to present proposals at the next meeting of the Environment and Climate Action Strategic Policy Committee, to be followed by a dedicated workshop with members of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. Councillor Meehan says a key part of the review must be an assessment of how services which have been contracted out are operating.
Whatever we are contracting out for is not enough. So we need to see more maintenance, more cleaning of our public toilets across the MD and across the county, because they are too regularly left in a very bad state. I think the more services that we can provide and the less that we have to rely on outside private providers, the better, because it provides direct accountability.
Weather now, a bright morning with well scattered showers. Highest temperatures today of 14 to 16 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
You saw it. It was just a moment, but you saw how her smile fell. Her words slipped, slurred, but straightened again. She said she was fine. So you waited. But a stroke doesn't wait. You don't need all the signs. One is enough. Remember FAST. Face, arms, speech, time. The second you suspect a stroke is the second you dial 999 or 112. Search HSE Stroke for more from the HSE.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. It's 4 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday, the 16th of September 2025. How are you all keeping? I do hope you're very well indeed. We've got a very interesting show. Some interesting conversations, some important conversations. We've got Community Garda information, of course, and we're going to keep you up to date with the stories really behind the headlines here on the programme. We invite and welcome your comments and interactions with us, however you choose to do so. Of course, you can WhatsApp and text us, including WhatsApp voice notes, by the way, if that suits you, to 086 60 25000. Give us a call either on 07491 25000 or email comments at highlandradio.com. And just to remind you, if you're watching on the, if you're listening, to the podcast or listening to the overnight repeat, your views are as equally important, right? So you can email comments at highlandradio.com or even WhatsApp and we'll retain them and carry them over to the next live show. And of course, if you want to watch the show, and it's always a very visual show, most of our guests join us either via video or in studio. You can watch us at home or wherever you are on your smart TV or your Fire Stick. We're on the YouTube app, just search Highland Radio Ireland. We're on Facebook, across our Facebook pages, except for some reason, the Highland Hub page today, it seems to be playing up for us. Not much I can do about that at this point. But we are on X as well. And there's also a Watch Live button on our website, right? So that's all the ways. There's no excuses, effectively. Unless you're actually genuinely trying to avoid us, you'll find us somewhere or other. Right, we are heading into the winter. We're heading into a winter whereby we are seeing an increase in people struggling. I mean, obviously, they say the country is wealthy and there are wealthy people in it and there's a lot of money being saved, but there's a great deal of our population who are struggling to make ends meet. And of course, this is a very expensive time of the year. 220,000 of our children are living in poverty. So that doesn't really be, that wouldn't be an indicator for me for a rich country anyway. But what help might be there for people in the winter? Well, pressure is growing on government to pay energy credits again in this budget. This is in the Irish Independent. The pressure is on government to pay energy credits in next month's budget, and it's piling up after a new survey found a majority of people see the payment as a top priority. Most cite energy costs as their main worry ahead of the budget. Some 57% of people rank retaining energy credits and extending VAT reductions on energy as their top priority for budget 2026. This according to polling data from the Amarac research for Dublin-based Rockwood Public Affairs. This will increase pressure on the government to offer some respite from the rising costs in the form of another round of energy credits to offset electricity and gas bill hikes. That being said, there aren't any electricity hikes or gas hikes for that matter proposed by the biggest electricity provider, but that's not in any way to say we don't need them. The government has insisted there will not be an additional cost of living package in the budget. It comes as reports indicate that the third level student fee is likely to be reduced by up to €500 in the budget. So that's something. There is also growing talk of a second child benefit payment for those most poorly off, which would be targeted. It would be something I'd welcome. If they're not going to do something generally, and what's the point in giving rich people money off their electricity bill? They really should look at spending whatever money they have on those that need it most, and there certainly is ways of targeting it. The Irish Times reports that a man is to stand trial charged with alleged arson attacks on a church and 2 halls in Donegal. Ryan McCrabb, who's 20 of McCann's Corner, St Johnstone, appeared before Letterkenny District Court this week and was served a book of evidence. The 3 charges follow a series of fires at buildings in the east of the county, in the east of the county village on August 29th last year. You'll remember them. We carried details of them extensively here and the reaction to them and the appeals to try and find the person responsible. Well, Mr McCrabb is charged with committing arson at the Royal Orange Hall, Main Street, St Johnstone, contrary to Section 2 of the Criminal Damages Act 1991. He's also charged with the same offence on the same date at St Bathan's Church, St Johnstone, and he's also charged with committing arson at St Johnstone Masonic Hall, Church Lane on the same date. Garda Gillian Page told the court Mr McCrabb made no reply when the book of evidence was served on him in court yesterday. The accused man did not speak during the short hearing. All of the papers have an image of Deputy Owen Hayes. He's a controversial character to begin with, but he's wearing brown makeup, and it is part of a Halloween costume, in inverted commas, where he was trying to emulate Barack Obama. As I say, it's in all the papers, the front of the Irish Daily Mail, in fact. Controversial Social Democrats TD Owen Hayes, dressed in blackface, as it's called, at a party in 2009. Mr. Hayes appeared as Barack Obama in full blackface at the Halloween bash in Cork City. The TD was only allowed to re-enter the Social Democrats parliamentary party 2 months ago after admitting that he misled the public about his shares in a company working on Israeli military projects. In a statement to the Irish Daily Mail last night, Mr. Hayes said he was profoundly sorry and accepted his blackface Halloween outfit was racist. The fresh controversy comes as the Social Democrats meet for their parliamentary party thinking in Dublin today. And effectively what they're saying, and what a return it is for that party's leader who's been on maternity leave, what effectively they're saying is that this is not a sackable offence, that he went on to work for Barack Obama or his campaign, so that indicates that he's not this, that or other, but also too that this was of a time. Now, at that time, he was the head of the Students' Union in the college that he was attending, and he was 22. So, 22. You should know what's what at that age, shouldn't you? But that being said as well, 2009 was it a different environment. He says he didn't even know it was offensive, really. Maybe it's not. I do note, even to this day, there's a Hispanic lady that does, and she's incredibly popular on TikTok, for an example, but she's an Hispanic lady with darker brown skin, and she does whiteface, as you could describe it, to impersonate and mock the religion, you could say, of the Donald Trump's press secretary. So it's still ongoing, but it's in reverse, and it's it's not seen as bad. But that being said, this is a no-go because of history. But what effectively, Ms. Hearns was saying, that if this was last week or 2 years ago, he'd definitely be out of the party, but because it was 2009 and because he's pled ignorance, then it's not a sackable offence. So there you go. There's a couple of trains of thought on this. 2009, a long time ago. 22. If everyone wanted to deep dive into any of our backgrounds, could they find something that looks absolutely brutal now that might not have looked as brutal then? That being said, I can't imagine I'd ever do this. But anyway, everyone kind of maybe has a skeleton in the closet that if it was exposed and shown in a certain light. So do you have sympathy for him or not? Maybe put politics to a side. Often, when we discuss things like this, it's always framed in what our own political beliefs are. But do you think that, it's a long time ago, get over it, he didn't realise it, or I suppose as well, you have to throw in his poor decisions maybe in relation to his shares in that Israeli company, or that company that benefited from Israel. Maybe it's just one mistake in inverted commas too far. If you have any views on that, and you may not, I don't think the Sock Dems are massive up here, but anyway, 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Just a bit more of an update on the story we were talking about yesterday, and this is concerns that a case that has been taken might see drink driving prosecutions chucked out. Thousands of drink driving prosecutions could be rescinded after a court ruled there is a problem with the legal system's blood and urine test regime. The shock possibility of throngs of overturned convictions has resulted from a case of a man who was found guilty of drink driving and got a 2-year ban. His solicitor claimed the verdict issued and should be overturned due to an inability to prove that his blood sample could not have been tampered with after the arrest, and Garda posted it for analysis. A judge agreed, overturning the driver's conviction and a driving ban, and ruled that the law is flawed and said it's up to the state to address it. Now, the Director of Public Prosecutions is expected to challenge the court ruling after the judge's ruling takes effect next month, but legal sources have warned of massive consequences as blood and urine samples are used in up to 7,000 drink driving court prosecutions every year. The controversy began in August 2012 when Garda asked the male driver to provide a blood specimen, and on the story goes. You listen, the law has to be challenged. That's how we know it's fair. That's how we know it stands up to vigour. So there will be potentially more people in the in this part of the world, in the law industry, challenging it. But if that is not upheld, it might make it very easy for many of these 7,000 a year drink driving cases to be overturned. Still, wall-to-wall coverage on American news channels of the assassination of right-wing spokesperson, conservative campaigner. He called himself conservative, he called himself right-wing, Charlie Kirk. His suspected killer is in custody, and the FBI and other agencies over there are really revealing more details about him. Actually, it's quite notable. I see Taylor Swift. She went to a football match to see her husband or future husband play behind a 7-foot shield. So anyone in the public eye, especially, with the potential for sniping, etc., they're up to high dough. You can see they're up to high dough. So she's walking around effectively in public in big spaces with this 7-foot high bulletproof shield. What a way to live your life that would be. You can keep your money. I don't think I would be interested in living my life like that. But anyway, Charlie Kirk's suspected killer, Tyler Robinson, wrote a note vowing to take out the right-wing activist. It emerged yesterday. FBI Director Kash Patel said it was found in the house where Robinson lived with his transgender partner Lance Twiggs. The note itself had been destroyed, but its chilling message was recovered by forensic experts. It's basically saying, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. Now, he also apparently was part of a big Discord group, where he was, as it turns out, it was mostly populated by members of the transgender community. But there is some suspicion that he had told them in advance that this is what he was going to do. And the state in which this crime happened, those people, if they did have knowledge and didn't let on about it, could face very, very serious charges. And the Ploughing Championships as popular as ever, isn't it? The weather's going to be mostly dry today, but I'm going to read the article here in the Irish Daily Star because the papers love to exaggerate, exacerbate and poke and prod with weather forecasts. Punters are set to brace for torrential downpours over the course of the 3-day National Ploughing Championship as the festival kicks off today. Yellow rain warnings are officially in place for Clare, Cork, Kerry, Limerick and Galway for today and tomorrow. But Offaly is still expected to be struck by a deluge or two. It's starting to sound a little bit better the deeper you get into the article. This as the annual pilgrimage to all things farming begins, with around 250,000 attendees expected at what could become a mud bath. Okay, well, if you're heading down, enjoy, drive safe, have fun. We might be hooking in with a reporter down at the Ploughing Championship to get a sense of what's going on. Obviously, there's going to be a sort of a political element to it, firstly, because of the geopolitical situation and how it affects exports, etc., but also too, potential presidential candidates landing down to press the flesh and shake hands. They shake hands if you become a presidential nominee. You shake hands very delicately. You're very soft and you almost say, please take my hand. And then you get the other hand and you cup it on that hand. And that's the presidential handshake. It just shows you sincerity and, your humbleness. That's my experience of it anyway, which is fine. All right, that was a run through some of the news headlines today. Let's get more news going after we take a quick break.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountaintop Diner.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Discover amazing deals at Floyd's Restaurant, Ballymagori, Strabane. Enjoy a 2-course menu for £19.95 Monday to Friday, Euro for pound night Wednesday and steak night Thursday. Sunday carvery from 12:30 to 3:30. Party packages and function rooms available. Call 02871 382905 to book.
My home is my castle. My sing in the shower place or work in my undies place. My pizza for breakfast. Cornflakes for dinner place. My home is my me place.
With AXA Home Insurance, you can protect the place where you can truly be yourself and get 24-hour emergency home assistance as standard. Get a quote online or call into your local branch. AXA. Know you can. Policy terms and conditions apply. AXA Insurance Stock is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Manor Motors, your Opel dealer in Donegal. Explore the full range of new and used Opel passenger cars and commercial vehicles. From sleek city cars to hard-working vans, we've got you covered. Visit us in Manor Cunningham or browse online anytime at manormotors.ie. Reliable, local and trusted. That's Manor Motors, your Donegal Opel dealer. Drive Opel, drive Donegal. Manor Motors, where your journey begins.
Imagine sinking into a perfect comfort every night. At Restex Beds, we believe a better sleep means a better life. Choose from our vast range of quality mattresses and find the one that's perfect for you. Restex Beds, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Leave the rest to us.
All you need to make your house a home at Patterson's The Hall Lifford. From garden furniture to kitchens, sofas and dining sets, all under one roof. Need a new mattress? Why not visit our sleep centre on the first floor? With a large range of quality beds and mattresses in stock and ready for collection or delivery. Relax in our coffee shop serving hot lunches daily. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Hall Lifford.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
Welcome back to the programme at 20 minutes past 9. Now, the first ever trial of a former British soldier accused of murder during Bloody Sunday began in Belfast this week. Soldier F is accused of murdering James Ray, 22, and William McKinney, 26, as well as 5 counts of attempted murder in 1972. 13 people were shot dead by the Parachute Regiment when it opened fire on civil rights demonstrators in the Bogside area of Derry. 15 others were wounded. The non-jury trial is taking place at Belfast Crown Court, where Soldier F is screened from public view by a black curtain around part of the dock. The former paratrooper, whose identity remains protected by a court order, has entered pleas of not guilty. Also denies the 5 counts of attempted murder. We're joined on the programme now by Mickey McKinney, who is William McKinney's brother. Thank you for joining us, Mickey. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm just glad that we're at this stage that where we're at. It's taken us a long time to get here, but we're here now, and we have to get on with it now.
Did you think this? Did you think this day would arrive, Mickey, where someone would actually, stand trial for the murder of your brother?
From after the inquiry, from we got the report of the inquiry, and then the police investigation, our solicitors were in touch with the police, and they put it them right. Well, what are you going to do about this? So there was a police investigation, and it was more or less just progressive from then. But really it was a day at a time. We had to see where we ended up. At one stage, the public prosecution wanted to stop the case because of a ruling in the Joe McCann case in Belfast, which we judicially reviewed, and we won that. So that was a big turning point.
What's your feelings about this person being able to maintain anonymity, being shielded from public view in the court? Does that matter to you?
Well, okay, I couldn't care, I never see him, but what really matters is it's a disgrace, the protection this boy's been given. He has carried anonymity from the inquiry. We seen him in Central Hall in London, and now he's screened now during this case. It's really beyond belief, the protection at this man's getting, and we wonder why. We have our suspicions, but we wonder why.
Would it compromise? We don't want to do anything that could be used that could in any way compromise the trial. But can you divulge what your suspicions? Is it that you don't necessarily have faith in this process? Potentially.
Well, okay. Right. First of all, we don't trust the British government. I never did trust the British government. But the protection this man's been given is really just beyond belief. we think he's probably went through the ranks in the British Army and ended up in a very good position, maybe within the army somewhere. We're not exactly sure, but he's well protected.
But of course, if found guilty, that veil of anonymity falls, does it?
Oh, absolutely. I find guilty. That'll go. Tomorrow, we're not in court today, but tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, there'll be legal arguments on the admissibility of hearsay evidence, which places F. and Glenfada Park firing his weapon. Now, the judge will probably take a few days to consider that, and next Wednesday, he'll deliver on it. So if he rules against it, if he rules it out, the case is over. But if he rules in our favour, okay, he goes to trial.
Yeah, so it's like everything. It's like this entire journey. Everything sort of balances on decisions that you will always sort of question the motivation of. It's very frustrating.
Yeah. Oh, it is frustrating. It's taken so long. It's 15 years from we got the report, the Bloody Sunday report. It's 15 years since that, and we're only getting into court now. Well, we've been on court with just the trying out of witnesses and this last couple of years, and lockdown certainly doesn't help it any. But we're here now, and hopefully we'll get the right decision next Wednesday, and the thing will proceed to trial.
There's a couple of things that's very important. Obviously, on a personal level for the Ray and McKinney families, and obviously then, there are other families that might feel now they'll never get justice. But that being said, if the trial does proceed, it will once again, and to a new generation, and I wonder how important this is to you, remind people of the events in those years in the early 70s that led to this massacre of people.
Oh, absolutely. I was there that day. I had just moved just before the powers come on, and what happened that day should never have happened. It just should never have happened.
Can you talk us through, if you don't mind, talk us through your memories of that day?
Well, it would take a bit of time, but I can take myself to Roswell Street. I remember William Street was jammed up. The march was stopped at Barricade 14. They didn't let us into the Guildhall Square where we intended to end up and have speeches. But the march was stopped. There was a bit of rioting took place. I remember moving down Roswell Street. I remember passing by one of the flats and having a thought, I'll go back to William Street again to see if I can find some of my friends. Because the size of the crowd, everybody, we all sort of lost each other. But I walked on down Roswell Street, and I was standing at the entrance to Glenfada Park, where within the next 10 minutes, my brother and others were going to be shot and killed. I remember standing there, and word filtering through the crowd that somebody was shot in William Street. That would have been Jared Donegal Damien Donegal and John Johnson. And across they're starting to fire on the gas saying, and across over the street, it's just where a monument is today. And I met my girlfriend then, she was standing with her friend, and she knew my wife. And she said, yeah, the bells, I'm standing in the chapel grounds and the bells are just going off again.
It's okay. If it doesn't distract you, they're not as noisy as they might be. So you can carry on, unless it's too distracting for you.
Not at all, no. They'll stop now in a minute.
Yeah.
But she suggested that we make our way to my aunt's house, which is just a couple of 100 yards up the street, in St. Colum's, Wales. Because we were being affected with CS gas until the rally started at Freedary Corner, which is all within a couple of 100 yards of each other, even less. But as we were making our way to my aunt's house, I remember turning around and seeing the army coming in on the Roswell Street. And look, the Bogside and Craigin were no-go areas, Ian. And I've seen many days that there was riots went on, but the army never come on that far before. There was a big TK at Bedford, and there was a number of APCs, Army Personnel Carriers. And there was wee Ferric here. And I thought, no, this is different. They're coming right on the Roswell Street. And as we just got on this in Columns, Wales, and going on to my aunt's house, everything just went crazy. I have no memory now of hearing gunfire, but everything went crazy. People were running round from the rally, round on the St. Columns, Wales, roaring and screaming in total panic. I got into my aunt's house, which is a wee small house, and it was packed full of people. And I remember somebody saying, and this is all within minutes, somebody saying there's 6 dead at the barricade.
No.
And I thought, good God, you know. And then my brother George, the oldest brother, George would have been just under Woolley. And he said, well, I seen Joe there now. No, he says, I seen Woolley. He said, but I wonder where Joe was. So George left again, and then things calmed down. And my wife, or my girlfriend then, Grady, and we went to her house, and for tea, there was evening mass saying, and we went to mass, and the priest for any talked about the terrible events that afternoon. But what I didn't know until some time after, in fact it would have been years after, there was a fellow who used to work with Woolley and the Derry Journal, a fellow called Pat Clark. He was coming out behind me, coming out of chapel. It was him who informed my father that Woolley had been killed. And he couldn't tell me. I had to go home before my father had told me. I didn't know that until years after. Not that it mattered any.
It took a while to find out.
But I said to Grady, I said, look, I need to get home to let my mother and father know that I'm okay. But the day before, there was 2 people from our street shot, Peter Robbs and Peter McLaughlin. And as we were approaching our house, we live in Craigin. As we were approaching the house, I noticed Father McLaughlin's car pretty close to our house. And I thought, I said to Grady, I said, there must be something wrong with Peter McLaughlin or Peter Robson. But as I went into the house was packed, and my father approached me. And I said, Wally's dead. And then I just fell to my knees and just broke down. My mother was sitting crying in the chair, and it was just crazy. It was just all crazy stuff. My father waking me the next morning with him crying. I never heard anyone cry as sore. And my older brother George trying to console him.
And in the years that followed... yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Mickey, please.
All the other families all had their own similar stories. You know, like there was one family, the Nash family. His father was going out to his son, Wally Nash. He was shot dead at the barricade. along with Michael McDade and John Young. Well, Alec Nash, he was shot that day too. And their mom was in the hospital with a heart attack during the time, so. And there was three families that followed this. And then the British government the next day releases what they wanted people to believe, that their troops engaged with gunmen and air bombers. The New York Times printed it the following day that British paratroopers engaged with the ARA and the Bogside that day and named all the dead, itemising each one of them as a gunman or an air bomber. And we were left chasing that lie for over 40 years.
Other than the loss of your brother, who obviously was very important to you, and then the distress, just, seeing the distress in your dad and the rest of the stuff that was going on, was it the fact that they were framed effectively or their murders were misrepresented? Was that the most difficult part outside of the loss and the grief? The fact that they tried to drag your brother's name through the gutters effectively?
Oh, absolutely. That was a big part of it as well. Okay, firstly, they took life. They murdered 13 people that day, and they attempted to murder a further 15. And then they libelled them. As far as I'm concerned, the British government wrote the script. They knew what they were doing. And it wasn't until some years after that I found out you can say whatever you want about the dead.
Yeah.
And you can't be brought to book for it. And they slandered the British government and the British Army, slandered my brother and everybody else who they shot that day. They slandered their names.
The one other question: what do you believe was the level of planning on that day, or in the lead up to that day, or the intention, or your personal belief? There's different records out there, or did a group of fellas lose the run of themselves, or what is your overriding sense of what happened that day and why it happened in the lead up to it?
I believe it was deliberate. You need to keep in mind the political situation at the time. Clerical and the Bogside was a no-go area. It was the only no-go area in Northern Ireland. It was the only place where the police or army couldn't go to. And because of the whole internment thing and all of that there, I believe that they wanted to teach nationalists a lesson. Why would they move their crack unit to Derry? The march was contained. The march was contained by local soldiers. There was no need for paratroopers. A few years before the inquiry started, John Kelly and myself got a phone call from a man in Derry. He told us he wanted to speak to us. This man had been subpoenaed to the inquiry. And he told us that on the Tuesday, prior to Bloody Sunday, he got a phone call from somebody in London. And the message went, the powers are going into Derry on Sunday, and they're not going into Eel Pattens. And he contacted somebody in the Irish Army on the Saturday night and told them the message. And at after half four on Sunday, he contacted the morgue and spoke to someone in the morgue. And he says, what's the situation there? And the person in the morgue told him, at the moment, he says, there's 6 in front of me, 6 dead bodies in front of me. This man was on the bog at the time, and he got off the house with a phone. There wasn't many houses with phones in at that time. And he contacted this Sergeant McGonigal, who was on the Irish Army, who he spoke to you the night before. He said, "Do you see what I was told you yesterday?" He says, "It's already happened." What happened on Bloody Sunday was deliberate.
And let me ask you also, in terms of, do you believe also the public relations exercise was pre-planned as well to put bombs and guns in the dead's hand, if you know what I mean? Do you think there was that level of premeditation that they would say, right, this is going to blow up here, we need to make sure that so on and so forth?
Aye. No, well, I know where you're coming from there, but no, they didn't put guns in the dead's hand. What they did, they planted nail bombs and Jared Donegal's.
Aye, but that kind of stuff, do you know what I mean? Not literally, I'm on about sort of in the public eye.
Oh, they knew what they were doing, of course. Jared Donegal didn't have nail bombs on him. It was a British Army that did that.
Yeah, okay. Again, it's like one sort of hurdle you get over that, and then there's another hurdle and you get over that. I mean, this particular hurdle that you crossed Monday has been a long time coming. We'll see how things go on Wednesday, Mickey, but I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you're so well. It's a stressful enough time as well, I'm sure, but thank you very much for joining us today. It's greatly appreciated.
Okay, thank you.
All right, goodbye. That's Mickey McKinney, whose brother William Willie McKinney was murdered on Bloody Sunday.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
You've got experience. Now it's time to build on it. With Skills to Advance, get the tools to grow with flexible, tailor-made courses in areas like AI, digital skills, sustainability, technology, leadership and management. They're short, practical and low cost. So whether you're looking to step up, switch paths or stay sharp, this is your next move. Contact your local education and training board or visit skillstoadvance.ie. Skills to Advance. Boost skills, boost business. Supported by Solus and the Government of Ireland.
If you're fitting a new kitchen or replacing some tired appliances, now's the time with the Ben Sweeney Euronics Kitchen Bundle. Get a single oven and hob, integrated dishwasher and fridge freezer, wash machine and tumble dryer, all for just €2,000. Other kitchen bundles are available on request. Call us today or visit Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
I had problems with my knees for about 7-8 years. I think I'd give Kingsbridge 5 stars just because of the support and help that they gave me before and after the surgery. I was a public patient and the HSE reimbursed the cost.
Republic of Ireland residents can get rapid access to cross-border surgeries at Kingsbridge private hospitals in Belfast and Derry, with medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. Find out more at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/cross-border. Kingsbridge, your fast track to 5-star care. Terms and conditions apply.
At FBD Insurance, we've been supporting businesses across Donegal, Sligo and beyond for over 50 years. Pop into your local insurance experts in the FBD branch on Main Street, Letterkenny, or contact us on 074 912 6299 and see how we can support your business today. Open from 9:30am to 5pm, Monday to Friday. FBD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. Business insurance is underwritten by FBD Insurance plc. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The back-to-school savings are adding up with SuperValue. Scan your Real Rewards card or app and make great savings like, for just €3 each, fresh Irish stewing beef and chicken fillet portions to fuel your family. €1 for Petit Filou 6-pack and $5.50 for Meridian Smooth or Crunchy Peanut Butter 1 kilo, giving you more change in your pocket. SuperValue. Real savings, real difference.
Welcome back. We're joined on the programme now by James Sweeney. He's a PhD student at the ATU in Letterkenny. Good morning to you. How are you keeping?
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Right, now, what are you looking at as part of your studies?
So,
is it as part of your studies?
Yeah, no, so
okay,
it's part of the PhD. So
yeah.
I'll give you a bit of background. So it's, first of all, it's transition from secondary school to university, and I guess what are impacting the mental health of students during that transition. So I'm going to give a bit of background, if that's okay,
Yeah,
Greg,
sure.
just into
Go
kind of
on
how
ahead,
this came about. So my supervisors, so Doctors Margaret McClafferty, Louise McBride, and Elaine Murray, they worked on a previous project in Ulster University in LYT back in the day, and this was around 2019, and what they're looking at was the first year to the fourth year of university, and they tracked students from their first year to the fourth year and trying to see if there was any differences in their mental health. So what they found was at registration, students were really high mental health prevalence rates. They're coming in with quite high prevalence rates. A lot of them had...
Are you on about negative mental health?
Sorry, yes,
Yeah.
negative
Okay,
mental
yeah.
health. Sorry, when I say that there, sorry. But negative mental health rates in regards to anxiety, depression, and things like that there. But also a significant amount of them had already attempted suicide at that point, which is quite poignant in the fact that this is before university. So beforehand, we would have usually conceptualized it as university is where it might have been starting in terms of the mental health problems. So this was kind of a big shock. And as they traced those students throughout their first four years of university, they found that students in Northern Ireland had better mental health to start, but then it decreased. And then also those in the south had worse mental health to start, and it increased. And they kind of met somewhere in the middle where they both weren't doing amazing, but they were also around the middle by the time they went on. So this inspired my supervisors then, especially Dr. Margaret McClafferty, to go and apply for funding to try and further examine, first of all, what's going on, because they're coming in already with this here mental health problems. As I said, it was before I kind of thought it was in university they were forming.
So just in what kind of rates are we talking about? So say, for instance, where they meet in the middle, what rate of or do we know maybe the
I'm trying to think off the
info
top of my
isn't there?
head. See, I wasn't involved specifically in that
No, I
study,
get
but
you, yeah.
I'm trying to I think it was I'd say about 20 to 25% potentially.
So 75% of the student population we're talking of circa, and we're open to correction because we don't have the study. They're okay, right? Yeah. And then it's the 25% that are having sort of negative mental health experiences. It starts worse in the Republic and improves somewhat, and it starts better in Northern Ireland and disimproves, and by year 4, circa in the middle. Right, okay.
Yeah.
So then so we have that data. Then why is it where's your angle coming from, in terms of tracking the mental health from secondary into third level?
So because they're already starting, we were thinking, right, something might be happening in that year prior to the transition. So, and especially also looking at the differences between the north and south as well. So what we're looking at is in between those, trying to figure out what are those main impacts affecting student mental health during that their year preceding the transition to university. So your final year in terms of A levels or leaving cert, and then also then the first 2 semesters of university as well, to try and see what's going on. So mainly it's trying to figure out as well, is there a difference in the education systems? As we know, there is a big discrepancy between the amount of subject you're doing in the north of Ireland versus the south of Ireland. In terms of, I think you're looking at 3 to 4 subjects with, to be fair, a similar-ish amount of exams, but versus our 7 to 8 subjects here. So there is a big difference in that there to start. And personally, I think there's more pressure upon myself, but that's biased in terms of the leaving cert, in terms of more pressure upon that.
Yeah, I sometimes think too, and this is more of a broader thing, James, there are external circumstances, okay? So let's say, hypothetically, if you don't mind,
Of course.
if you have any anxiety issues or any mental health issues, say, for instance, any alcohol or any substance that stimulates you exacerbates that. That's a fact, and anyone who says it doesn't is talking nonsense. And I just wonder then, maybe for some, they put their head down and it's all books, but for others, there might be more partying, more drinking, it could just be a few cans or whatever. And I'll tell you, if you are mentally vulnerable, that could be a period of time where that's all being exacerbated. It never helps. It will only ever make things work. That might not be caught in your study, but I think it's something interesting that we could look at down the line. A second thing, what is, I wonder, going on, James? Because, my school years were tough. Like, they were tough. Bullying, fighting, none of that's present now. Very, very little of it's present now. We've never had a situation whereby it doesn't matter where you're from, what race you are, what religion you are, what gender you are. Schools have never been more supportive places, I would argue. And third level, I mean, you are accepted for whatever you choose. So you would imagine, when I compare it to my childhood, that if that if that was the right thing for us to be doing, and I don't mean this in any ideological sense, we would be seeing far better outcomes, yet we're not. So I think it may not happen as part of your study, but I think beyond this, we really need to make sure that we are actually supporting young people the way they need to be supported, and not just saying whatever it is, it's fine, and leaving them without the supports that I kind of got, that sort of way.
No, I 100% agree with you, and I think you're right in the fact that there is all that support there that wasn't there even in my day, and when I finished in 2016, and comparing that to now, going back into my old school, the supports there now are amazing, and it's great to see that there, but it wasn't there when I was there. But again, as you said, the rates are increasing though, and that is the worrying aspect of it. But and even you touched on there substance abuse in terms of exacerbating it, and even in AT Donegal, we now have a cocaine worker specifically working in AT Donegal for cocaine use, and that is just highlighting how significant that their fact is right now in there. But I think I'm going off topic here, Greg.
No,
I'm going to bring it back.
And I'll tell you what I will very much do is bring it back into focus. It's just I do hope that when young people do reach out for help and they go, well, I'm feeling this or I want that or do the other, that we're not actually saying, well, that's fine. And we believe that's helping rather than saying, okay, well, maybe we should look at this. But that is a wider conversation. So what do you think, or what do you hope in, and I presume you're looking for people to take part in this stuff at this point, right? So we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah, of course.
So what are you sort of looking to track from what year in secondary into third level? So we'll focus specifically on your work now, right?
Perfect.
So who are you looking to engage and what are you looking to track?
So we're looking at the whole transition, and we're looking at three different phases of viewpoints. So we've the students themselves in final year. So we've already recruited the students. So we got them last year in their final year of secondary school.
Fantastic,
so we've got about 234 students between the north and south.
Brilliant.
And we had ones down in Dublin, Mayo, and I think we got every county up the north except for Fermanagh, unfortunately. Right. Apologies, folks. But we got them now, and really what we're looking at is how baseline mental health, I guess, to start with, kind of how you're getting on. Also looking at things like you mentioned there, I guess resilience is one of the biggest factors, because that's probably, even though negative experiences we may have had ourselves in our schooling years, they do help to a certain degree in terms of building their resilience, which is the other side of the coin. But also looking at things like, I guess, some parenting behaviours too, but also specifically looking at, I guess, what supports are available in school, looking at what practical supports, what mental health supports are available in school. Are they good? Did you benefit from them? And then also then trying to figure out, I guess, what are your hopes and aspirations for going to university? Why are you looking to go there? And what concerns and worries are you mainly worried about?
So there's 200 plus then. Do you engage them continuously?
Yes.
They're your group,
They're
right?
my wee cohort now. So
Excellent,
they are.
brilliant.
So I'm checked. So I've just put in now for ethics for tomorrow for our follow-up surveys, which are going to be in November and April, May time. And now what's going to be different in those, obviously, they're already going to be in transition or in their university. So we're also checking out the ones who maybe didn't go to university as well, and trying to see how their mental health, and try and see maybe is there a discrepancy between those who didn't go to university.
I'll be really interested actually to see if resilience improves or disimproves.
Yes, I think so too, and I think it'd be interesting to see, because we're tracking also, are they moving, are they commuting? If they are commuting, how much time they spend commuting? Because recent research has highlighted the impact of commuting times. Because one, I guess, traditional student has changed. Most traditional students now are actually commuting. They're living at home. They're not living away as much. And there is studies coming out there now showing that is actually impacting upon student mental health, especially for females who are traveling for around an hour one way.
Yeah. So that's the first cohort, obviously, students.
That's the first cohort.
So parents, guardians as well.
Yes. So that's the parents. So that's the students. We're going to follow up them and try to see backwards as well from retrospectively how did that transition go, and try also from qualitative interviews see if they have any recommendations for support to put in place to try and improve that. But then, as you said, sorry, I'm going into the weeds a bit much here, Greg, apologies.
But we've got very, very clever listeners.
Thank God.
So don't worry about that, James.
But yes, so then we also then have it from educators' point of view, and from the educators' point of view, again, just trying to figure out, look, what's going on, what do they think, because they're seeing students come in, they're seeing any differences as well, and then they're trying to get it from their perspectives. Again, what's going on with this transition? Are they already having mental health problems in secondary school, which I personally would think so, and then they're probably being, as you said, exacerbated during that transition potentially. But trying to figure out what's going on, what supports are there. Do they think they could be doing more? Are they doing enough? And also just trying to figure out from the perspective what could improve that. So that's the educators.
So today just about letting us know the work that you're doing, and of course I'll be very interested to find out. Or is there anything out there in the general public that you're looking for?
Yes. So again, sorry, I've just given a big general overview, Greg, and apologies again if I'm getting too nitty gritty with it. But so parents is the main reason why I'm here today. So I just want to give you an overall view of the project as well, the UL project. But so the parents survey is the biggest thing at the minute. So we're looking at it, as I said, so the whole transition piece, just from their perspective. Again, similar to educators, where I guess they're going to notice it a lot more being an outside viewer in terms of not experiencing it themselves, and just trying to figure out, I guess, what they think is the main worries and concerns. First of all,
what age of the parents that will be listening? Students that are in
students
secondary
are just commencing.
Okay,
so students who are commencing and starting university this year. So any parent of students who are starting university this year, you can take part. And really, it's just trying to figure out what are your main worries and concerns about your child starting university, how prepared do you think they are, and also just assessing what supports were available in your school, what supports might have been offered by the university, and even things like practical or mental health supports as well. And also trying to get their opinion on, were they good? If they weren't, why weren't they good? And trying to, I guess, really get into what are the main supports you think as a parent can actually help facilitate that whole transition into university.
Yeah, I'd love to too, as part of the study with students, and hopefully it does catch in if they were asked specifically about the pressures of the exams as they're currently formatted, to having to make decisions about what their career might be when their children, effectively, no disrespect to them, and 3, how aware they are of the pressures it puts on the family, many families, in terms of the actual going to. Is there almost survivor's guilt when they're at college?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things we capture with the parents too, because we're asking, do you have all our children in university already? Trying to figure out, because again, there's a lot of financial hardship associated with university, and I think it's changed, and it's very different in the north because you have the access to the student loan.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're not going to, I guess anyone can go where it's not as
the insights are very important. What James is looking for, he's looking to hear from parents of students making the transition. They'd love to hear from you and include your voice in what is going to be actually really important research, because there's a big cohort there. So where can people get more info?
Yes.
So
I have a Facebook post and I've shared it to the Highland Radio social media page. So please, if you are able to go on to Facebook and complete the survey. The survey should take about 15 minutes, folks. And also, if anyone can't do that there, please feel free to email my lovely supervisor. I'm going to give her email address, but margaret.mclafferty@atu.ie. And if you have any questions or concerns about the study, either go on to the social media Facebook page for Highland Radio, or else email Margaret and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Brilliant stuff. And we'll have all that info, including Margaret's email address, on the Facebook page. James, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Ralph.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
All around Ireland, ordinary people are doing amazing things every single day with Return. Charities, clubs and organisations are fundraising for causes big and small to benefit their communities. They're turning empty bottles and cans into everything from football kits to park benches, playground equipment to men's sheds, and food bank donations to defibrillators. It's never been easier to get involved and do something good for your community. So come and join the thousands of initiatives using Return for Good at return.ie.
If you're getting new furniture or it's time for a change, pay a visit to McGinley's Furniture in Letterkenny. There you'll find a selection of suites, beds and bedroom furniture, dining room and occasional furniture. You'll be amazed by the selection and pleasantly surprised by the prices. At McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. And online at mcginleysfurniture.com.
The faithful crave flavour. The traitors, they've already grabbed the snacks. Diet Coke 2 litre €2 plus deposit. Tater Rancheros Armani sharing bags $1.75 each. And selected Cadbury pouches 100 gram $2.50 each. Centra, proud food sponsor of the Traitors Ireland. Snack smart, trust no one. Centra, live every day.
Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with our bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the Northwest, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Friday 9am until 5pm and on Saturdays from 9am until 3:30pm. Book your free consultation today on 074 9725822 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
My apologies, we're running a little late. A bright morning with just well scattered showers. Cloud will build from the southwest through the late afternoon and evening. Highs temperatures 14 to 16 degrees. What a bucket down of rain we saw yesterday evening and overnight. Okay, my apologies. News coming a little later than scheduled. We'll be back after with Community Garda information.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Fill more salad bowls for less with these Lidl Plus Super Savers. Pick fresh scallions, 44% off, now 49 cent. And juicy salad tomatoes, 38% off, just 79 cent. And we've shredded 48% off crisp iceberg lettuce, only 59 cent. Simply scan, pay and save with Lidl Plus.
Luxury living begins at the heart of your home, your fireplace. At Sprat Fireplaces, Newmills, Letterkenny, we offer statement fireplaces, bespoke surrounds, and a wide range of stoves, including gas, wood burning, pellet, and bioethanol models. No chimney? No problem. We'll help you choose and install the perfect solution. Stylish, efficient, and tailored to your home. Call 074 912444 or visit spratfireplaces.ie. Sprat Fireplaces, bringing comfort and style home.
Foy's biggest ever end of summer sale is now on, so don't miss out. Whether it's a statement sofa or a full dining room set, our expert team will help you choose the perfect pieces. Order now during the sale at Foy's in Ballybuffet or Letterkenny to guarantee Christmas delivery.
Hi, Michael here from iMotors. I would like to invite you up to our used car sales event.
The big end of summer sales event with fantastic offers. Customers from all over the Northwest are coming. Over €200,000 in reductions. Plus, spin the wheel for cash and prizes with every purchase. September 13th to 21st. Don't miss out. Visit us at iMotors.
iMotors. Fearless generation.
When the time comes, the last thing you want is for your family to worry about funeral costs. That's why On Post Insurance offers funeral insurance for those aged 50 to 75. A simple way to help ease the burden for the people you care about most. Take a moment today to plan ahead. Call 0818 22 22 22 or visit onpostinsurance.ie. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited, trading as On Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of On Post. Funeral insurance is underwritten and provided by New Ireland Assurance Company plc. On Post Insurance is a tied agent of New Ireland Assurance Company plc for life assurance business.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. A UN commission has concluded that Israel has committed and continues to commit genocide in Gaza. It says it's clear there's an intent to destroy the Palestinians there. It's the first time a UN body has made such a finding. Taoiseach Micheál Martin says what's happening in Gaza is beyond any moral compass.
Israel is behaving in a manner that's oblivious to anybody. But to me, it's an appalling carnage that Israel is waging on the people of Gaza. I don't know how the members of the Israeli government can go to bed at night with a clear conscience in terms of the murder and slaughter of innocent children, the destruction of Gaza and of a society.
The brother of William McKinney, who Soldier F is charged with the murder of on Bloody Sunday, hopes the right decision will be delivered. The trial of the former British paratrooper began at Belfast Crown Court yesterday. He's also charged with killing James Ray and the attempted murders of 5 others at a civil rights march in Derry in 1972. The trial was told that the shooting of civilians on Bloody Sunday by a former paratrooper and his platoon mates were unjustified, unnecessary and gratuitous. Mickey McKinney told today's 9 till noon show that the coming days will be very important in how the case plays out.
Tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, there'll be legal arguments on the admissibility of hearsay evidence, which places F. Anglin Fada Park firing his weapon. The judge will probably take a few days to consider that. Next Wednesday, he'll deliver on it. If he rules it out, the case is over. But if he rules in our favour, okay, he goes to trial.
3 more local authorities will hear from presidential hopefuls today. Galway, Wicklow and Tipperary county councils will be addressed by independents aiming to win their support to enter the race for the Áras. Cork and Dublin city councils both voted against backing any candidates yesterday, meaning 6 local authorities have now decided against supporting any potential contenders. As of yet, there are no plans to hold a meeting of Donegal County Council to discuss potential nominations. Last week, council officials confirmed that 21 people had made contact seeking nominations and they were awaiting direction from members. Donegal County Council is currently conducting a review of public toilets across the county with the aim of developing a prioritised list of potential upgrades and improvements. The council is also seeking additional staff to assist with the provision of and maintenance of public conveniences in the county. Responding to a motion from Councillor Declan Meehan, officials confirmed they intend to present proposals at the next meeting of the Environment and Climate Action Strategic Policy Committee, to be followed by a dedicated workshop with members of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. Councillor Meehan says a key part of the review must be an assessment of how services which have been contracted out are operating.
Whatever we are contracting out for is not enough. So we need to see more maintenance, more cleaning of our public toilets across the MD and across the county, because they are too regularly left in a very bad state. I think the more services that we can provide and the less that we have to rely on outside private providers, the better, because it provides direct accountability.
Another rain warning has been issued for Donegal. The status yellow warning will come into effect at 10 o'clock tonight and will remain in place until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Met Éireann is warning of heavy spells of blustery rain, leading to difficult travelling conditions, poor visibility and localised flooding. The HSE is again urging parents to register for the RSV vaccine ahead of the winter season. The health service says the infection can cause hospitalisations, including some serious illness, especially among young infants. RSV immunisation clinics will be available until the first week of October for babies born from March the 1st to August the 31st. Weather now, a bright morning with just well scattered showers. Highest temperatures today of 14 to 16 degrees and light to moderate westerly winds. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. Good morning.
The Obituary notices this Tuesday morning, September 16th. The death has taken place of Artie McGinley, 20A Newton Street, Strabane, and formerly of Gordon, North Ballindrate, reposing at his home. Funeral leaving his home tomorrow morning at 10:25 for Requiem Mass in the Sacred Heart Church, Derry Road, Strabane at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Magella Duffy Dewey Bun Glengad. Magella's remains are reposing at her home, where you're welcome to pay your respects. Funeral from there on Thursday morning at 10:20 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Clay, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on Eamon McLaughlin Funeral Director's Facebook page. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to the Patients Comfort Fund, Carndonagh Community Hospital, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Joan McGee, ní Gallagher, to Mill Park Carrigans. Joan's remains will be reposing at her late residence to Mill Park Carrigans from 12 noon today and all day tomorrow. A funeral cortege will leave her residence on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock, proceeding to St. Bathan's Church, St. Johnston for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass. Cremation will follow at Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan, County Cavan. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to Cancer Care West, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has taken place of Seamus McBride, 338 Railway Road, Raphoe. Seamus will repose at his late residence from 11 a.m. until 10 p.m. today. Rosaries tonight at 9 o'clock. The funeral cortege will leave his late residence tomorrow morning at 10:30, travelling to St. Eunan's Church, Raphoe, for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. The Mass may be viewed on the Parish of Raphoe webcam. The death has taken place of Mary Maureen Anderson, Leganabraj, Lifford. Her remains will repose at her nephew's home, Robin Long, Ballybogan, Lifford, today from 12 noon until 11 p.m. Family, close friends and neighbours welcome. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 for 2 o'clock service of Thanksgiving in Dunamore Presbyterian Church, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to Dunamore Presbyterian Church, care of any family member or Terence McClintock funeral director. The death has taken place of Conor Brannigan, Killadroy Bera, formerly of Ahiarn. Conor's remains will be reposing at Farley's funeral home, Bera, today from 3 p.m. until 8 p.m. Leaving there tomorrow afternoon to drive to the GAA Pavilion, St Mary's Park, Bera, from 2 o'clock for a humanist funeral celebration of Conor's life before he's brought to Lakelands Crematorium. Donations in lieu to Oma Palliative Care War and Cancer Fund for Children. The death has occurred of Eileen Williamson for Tara Court, Letterkenny, reposing at the family home for Tara Court, Letterkenny, from 2 o'clock until 7 o'clock today. Funeral from there tomorrow morning, going to the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Ballyrain, Letterkenny, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed on the parish YouTube channel, followed by interment in Conwall Cemetery. Family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if wished, to the Oncology Department, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Fancy fish tacos tonight? You'll catch some amazing prices at Aldi, that's for sure. The finest Irish breaded haddock goujons are just $2.99. Sour cream at just 89¢. Mixed chilies only 49¢. And 8 mini white tortilla wraps are just 85¢. That's an evening treat at amazing Aldi value, all wrapped up. Good food, good mood from Aldi, while stocks last.
Welcome back. Just to give you an idea, and perhaps I should do this more than I do, of what's coming up in the programme, Daniel O'Donnell is going to be joining us later this hour. Obviously, the fan club, the official fan club, is winding down, and, you know, obviously he's also outlined the fact that he's stepping away a little bit from the touring scene. He's not retiring, and he's at pains to point out that he's not retiring, but at the same time, people are putting two and two together and coming up with five. We live in a different world now in terms of fanzines and magazines. People have instant access to info now. But anyway, we'll articulate that and go through that with Daniel O'Donnell a little later on. Also, two very important guests coming into the studio after 11, Margaret and Paula Martin. They are two sisters who have received an apology. They were victims of Cunningham, and this week were given an apology by the Diocese of Raphoe. We're going to give you some background to that story, but also to chat to Margaret and Paul about their journey for justice, effectively, how they got this apology and what it meant to them and what have you. So that's coming up after 11. And coming up after the break, we will have Community Garda information. Garda Niall Maguire's in studio with us, and he's going to be giving us the very latest appeals and information first here on the 9 till noon show. And speaking of, The Garda Youth Awards take place in Donegal town tonight, so looking forward to going down and being a part of that process. A ton of work has gone into that by Garda Grania Doherty and others in getting that together. They've got the Abbey on board, of course, which is great, and also Supermax, I believe, are sponsors as well, which is great. It shows the importance of the event to have a top name sponsor like that as well. So we're looking forward to that in the Abbey. Kevin from here as well. He's also going to be down providing some music and what have you. So we're looking forward to that this evening down to Donegal town. So there's a lot coming up. So just to reiterate, Community Garda information after the break, Daniel O'Donnell later this hour, and then Margaret and Paula Martin, our special guests today from Fanad. They're going to be talking about their journey to that apology from the Diocese of Raphoe. And just reading through their press release in relation to that, a lot of people, they ultimately got themselves to this point, but a lot of people, there was a lot of cogs in the wheel too. So looking forward to that conversation. It's an important one. Right, let me get to some of your comments coming in so far this morning. Thick and fast? Busy? Yes. Would I more? Of course I would. Get your phones out. Greg, you're saying bullying in school isn't common nowadays. My sister-in-law teaches in a primary school. There are 26 different nationalities she has under her. You're correct, Greg. We now call it intimidation in our schools against Irish students, not bullying, right? Okay. Well, I says common, and I'm sure you are aware that common would mean widespread, whereas you're talking about a specific incident. I can only talk about the schools that my children went through, to be honest with you, where there are very strict protocols in terms of bullying. And I would be interested in the intimidation element of a primary school. What are you talking about in that regard? But as I say, maybe you're right. Maybe that is common. But my view would be that there seems to be, and there's going to be parents that went through processes and they weren't happy, and I understand that. But there seems to be more of a big no-no against bullying now than when I was going through school. The people of the Bogside and Creggan will never get justice in British courts. The judicial system is flawed. Look at other cases, what they did with them regarding Irish people, the Guildford 4, the Birmingham 6, the Maguire 7. We can go on. There's no justice for the Irish in a British court. They'll protect their army at all costs, no matter what evidence you have. It took an English person to free the Guildford 4, remember that. But I suppose I don't disagree with you per se, but justice eventually, albeit delayed, and there is that saying, justice delayed is justice denied, in some of those cases was achieved. Bless them. I hope justice prevails. I'm crying listening to this story. It's bringing it all back. We're in Buncrana, living so close to Derry. It's still so clear in our minds, them poor young fellas killed so young. And talking to Mickey, what came across to me is that it was like yesterday. Is it 53 years? 1972 is 53 years ago, isn't it? It is. And, you know, that story, he recounts the emotions, seeing his the sounds and sights of the raw emotion of his father. He's speaking as if it were yesterday or the day before or last week. You know, that's how heavy an impact the events of that time, that day, has had on people right up into their older years. Can you raise a thing for me? This is completely different. €60 for a 6 cert. That's the way too much for a cert. 60 quid, so that presumably means from your GP. Is it too much? Is it too little? What do you think? 086 60 25,000. Hi, Greg. This is in regards to roadworks taking place in Drumkeen. The tailback is having serious delays, and surely can it be addressed better to make traffic flow better? I don't know. And we're seeing traffic works popping up all over the place. We'll see more of it. You know, there's money that's been allocated that has to be spent. You know, towns or main roads that are going to be... I mean, just remember the gap when they were doing the McGrory's Bray there. The delays there were astronomical for a long time. So I'm not sure what can be done to get everyone through efficiently. A caller says, wearing a black mask is not offensive. Barack Obama is black and proud of it, and I'm sure Mr. Obama would not be offended. I'm not quite sure. You're right there. Putting makeup on your skin to appear black would be offensive to a lot of black people, I think. I don't agree with you there in your assessment of what Barack Obama might think of that. Greg, could someone sort out the lights at the Polestar roundabout this morning? It was mayhem. Imagine. traffic lights at Drumkeen, more traffic works further down the road, then you hit the Polestar roundabout. It's hard to get about these days. Back to people darkening their face. Blackface is wrong, but there are plenty of women and indeed men that walk around in fake tan or bronzed from a sunbed in a similar shade. Are they going to stop being called out for blackface too? No, because the guy was impersonating a black man. Someone who is fond of fake tan or what have you, and some of them you can see are very deep shades of brown. It's clear they're not doing it to appropriate a different race. Back to traffic again, though. Let me try and get these in order. This is my fault. The blackface issue of the time. Oh, come on, this isn't the 2010s, and that wasn't the 90s. I was in secondary school in 2009, and even I knew blackface was a bad shout back then. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying what Holly Kearns had said. Every morning, there's been a queue of traffic on the Ballyliffin Road, and there's no need for it. The workers don't start until 8. What's going on? More traffic woes. I heard people moaning too, obviously, about there's going to be 5 weeks of roadworks in Downings. You've got this issue in Ballyliffin. You've got Drumkeen. Everywhere you go, you're going to be held up, it would seem. Good morning, Greg. How can it possibly be genocide if the population in Gaza is growing? It's not genocide. It's Western media spreading Hamas propaganda. If Israel were targeting civilians, why would Hamas fighters dress as civilians, which in itself is a war crime? But let's not talk about that. Well, listen, the UN has determined, not BBC, Sky News, Fox, Highland. It's the UN that have determined what's going on there. It's a genocide. One of the markers of genocide is to prevent population growth. I mean, clearly that's happening, right? You know, how many there's 2.2 odd million people in Gaza. How many of them do you think are members of Hamas, honestly? You know, if it was 100,000, it would be still unjustifiable to displace and destroy the homes and murder children and murder women. But it's not. It's nowhere near that. It's a fraction of that, of course. And you don't seriously think that this would all stop if Hamas all of a sudden said, right, we're disbanding, or however you might frame it. Israel has a job to do. You know, it's literally destroying Gaza. It's destroying high-rise buildings. By every marker, although the UN says only 4 out of 5, by any marker, it's a genocide. Come on. Like, go over there. That's sometimes I think maybe if we could put on virtual reality glasses and experience what it might be like to be a person there. Like, you're talking about just kids and women and fellas that have nothing to do with any of this, that are caught up in it. And even if Hamas is dressing up civilians, what does that mean? You know, can you imagine if it was happening here? Can you imagine if it was in Inishowen that was being obliterated, but the people of Inishowen couldn't cross over at Bridgend, they're stuck there? And they're moving up, down, left, right. Come on. You know, like, it is what it is. Maybe that argument a year ago, 18 months ago. But now, I mean, it's very evident what's going on. And it's the UN, not the media, that has stated that.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday, September 16th. Playing for the daily prize of €1,200 on the brown sheet. Reference number is S7. It's week 38. Today's numbers are 67, 39, 26, 66, 2, 63, 41, 18, 62 and 68. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
McGowan Hearing, one of the longest established audiologists in the Northwest, now have weekly clinics in Letterkenny, Buncrana and Carndonagh. Book your free hearing aid consultation at one of these clinics, or with audiologist Darren McGowan in your own home. Call 07191 00208 or visit mcgowanhearing.com.
As the days get shorter, the kids get back to school, and we start to make our homes a little cosier. We're all looking for smarter ways to save. Electric Ireland can help get you there. Switch to our best smart meter plan and save up to 30%. Visit electricireland.ie. EAB €1,199 based on 12-month home electric plus SST Saver electricity. Discounted unit rates with online billing, direct debit and VAT. Smart meter required. Subject to change. T's and C's apply.
It may not be happening in our country. It may not be our crisis, our hunger, but our history, our scars, our sense of justice reminds us at Concern Worldwide that extreme poverty, wherever it is our concern. Visit concern.net.
Looking at the Kia Sportage? Call to Heron Auto Donegal, where for just €1,500 more than the diesel model, you can upgrade to a hybrid automatic with a bigger boot, spare wheel option and finance from just 3.9%. Drive smarter, drive further and drive with confidence with Heron Auto Donegal Town, your trusted Kia main dealer. Book your test drive today at Heron Auto or visit heronauto.ie.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today. The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, monitoring homes and businesses in the northwest for intruder, fire, panic and medical signals. Call Sheridan Security on 91 26025.
Okay, it's time for Community Garda information on this Tuesday, the 16th of September 25, where you get the latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána first here in the 9 till noon show. And our guest in studio with us today is Garda Niall Maguire from the Falcarra Garda Station. Niall, thanks so much for calling down to us. It's really nice to have you.
Pleasure as always. Thanks, Greg, and good morning to all your listeners.
Right, let's start with appeals. A road traffic collision which took place on September the 11th.
Yeah, I think he's covered this on your news bulletin at the time, Greg. My colleagues in Milford Garda Station are investigating this collision, which involved a motorcycle and a lorry. I suppose we always get the hairs raising the back of your neck when you hear about a motorcycle being involved in an accident or a collision. But thankfully, this chap wasn't seriously injured and he was taken to the hospital in Letterkenny. So this happened Thursday, the 11th of September at approximately 12:50 p.m, so just before lunch last Thursday. So if anybody can assist my colleagues, if they witnessed the crash or if they have dash camera, please contact the guards in Milford on 074 9153 060, or indeed any Garda station, or indeed for any appeals today, any Garda station or the hotline 1-800 666 111.
Yeah, and just in relation to that, an observation, if you don't mind, that's nothing to do with the appeal, is that just I happened to be travelling towards that area after the event, and I can imagine when the call went out, as your reaction there, the full extent of it may not have been known. And what I thought was amazing, and it happens all of the time, but you don't necessarily see it, from every road there were, Garda vehicles, rapid response ambulances, then ambulances, the fire service. They were coming in the Milford Road, they were coming from the Falcarra direction, they were going from Letterkenny, and I was thinking, you know what, it's astonishing what these people do. I know it's jobs, don't get me wrong, but within like 10, 12 minutes, just to observe all of these people coming to this area at that time to manage traffic, to manage the scene, to do the investigation, to manage any casualties, not knowing what would. I just thought it was, we sometimes take it for granted. Yeah. How the emergency services respond and how quickly they respond.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Greg,
and that's not necessarily specific to that instant. Yeah. It's just the instant I sort of observed it in Niall.
Yeah, unfortunately, Greg, we're just so well rehearsed in fatal accidents in Donegal, and it's a horrible thing to be well practiced and well versed in. But we've just had so many fatalities.
That was a sign of that, really. Yeah.
So yeah, it all falls into place. And like I said, when we hear about a motorcycle, like a lot of the times, it's very serious injuries or a fatality when it comes to motorcycles. They just the figures for motorcyclists and indeed now. What's happening now in the recent times is e-scooters and stuff. You're getting very serious injuries and fatalities on. You've no protection, whatever.
You're the vulnerable road user in that scenario.
100%, Greg. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought it very impressive, and I hope the persons involved have speedy recoveries, both physically and I imagine emotionally as well.
But it's good to know that all these services are able to come together, Greg,
in
your
is.
time and need. Because we sometimes we don't appreciate the ambulance service and the guards and stuff until you actually need them.
Yeah, and it's the guys, and I say guys, and I mean guys and girls, just that get there in the more agile vehicles even more quickly.
Yeah.
It's not like you're, in this instance anyway, it's not like you're just waiting for the crew to get to the fire service, to the fire station, into it. And, you know, there are people there immediately in that window.
Yeah.
Which
and indeed, and for our own role, like, you know, we're attending there obviously to investigate the circumstances of an incident, but at times, you know, we can be there before the fire service
and
or
administer.
Absolutely, yes. So we're doing first aid and stuff at the scene too.
But
so
the speed at which your road is, you know, that space is isolated as well to allow everyone to do the work. It's a well-oiled machine, not one you ever want to hear coming towards you, but it's good to know that it's there. Theft of a caravan.
Yeah, we've a few different incidents where trailers and this incident, a caravan was stolen from the Barnesmore Gap area. The caravan model was an Ace Supreme. It's white in colour with a pink stripe. I know that's pretty generic, but it had no registration plate attached. It was parked on the kind of picnic area, Greg. You'd be familiar with that area. And it was stolen between 7 p.m. last Tuesday the 9th and 7 a.m. on the following morning, Wednesday the 10th. So if anybody saw this caravan, maybe noticed it a bit strange, or pulled being maybe a vehicle in that wasn't appropriate, or in an appropriate manner or speed, or just noticed something that didn't feel right, my colleagues in Ballyshannon would love to hear from you, and they can be reached on 071 9858 530, or indeed if anyone noticed or maybe has been offered this caravan for sale, just keep an eye out and maybe give us that information, please.
Yeah, I'm not saying one wasn't attached, but certainly I think the lack of a number plate would have noticed that if I was behind it. So it's that kind of info might be useful to Garda. As you mentioned, to another vehicle that can be towed, a trailer in Donegal town. What happened here?
Yeah, this was an attempted theft of a trailer. It was discovered by the owner in progress, the theft in progress. This happened at townland of Meenadreen, Donegal town, on Sunday the 13th of September at approximately 11 p.m. So Meenadreen is situated near Clare Chapel. It's a road off the N15. Maybe, Greg, you'll be familiar with that location. 3 males were in a yard that area, and they were pushing the trailer. So we don't have the identified the vehicle that they were heading for, but they were certainly pushing the trailer to be towed by another vehicle. They were disturbed by the owner, and then they fled on foot through nearby fields. So anyone travelling in or near Clare Chapel on Sunday the 13th of September, or I think it's Leganey, is that how you pronounce it, Greg? Thanks. Leganey Hall between 10 p.m. and midnight on the 13th of September, and maybe witness these 3 men running through fields or running across the road or getting into a vehicle, or if you have a dash camera in that area, again, Ballyshannon would love to hear from you on 071 9858 530.
Now, an incident in Fawn this time, Niall.
Yeah, my colleagues in Buncrana are investigating an incident of criminal damage that happened at a car park at Castle Quarter, Fawn, on Saturday the 13th of September at approximately 10 p.m. Again, it was a trailer. It was moved from where it had been parked, and the jockey wheel was broken on it. So I don't know, was this attempted theft or was just criminal damage, but we're keeping an open mind to this one. Again, my colleagues in Buncrana would love to hear from anybody that was at Castle Quarter Fawn on Saturday 13th at about 10 p.m. And the garage in Buncrana can be reached on 074 9320 540.
Yep. So, I mean, if you have anything towable, obviously there's 3 instances there in different parts of the county. Just double down on your security and know.
Yeah, it goes to show, Greg, you know, even if your trailer or whatever is parked in your yard, you know, it's still, you should still take precautions.
They're very high value. You get a double axled galvanized trailer, you know, it's $2,000, $3,000, depending on the size of it, you know, and obviously caravans, because they often don't necessarily have identifying marks, can be quite easy to pass on. So I suppose it makes sense if a person is that type of person. So we have to just double up our security in those
maybe
those
it's
areas.
Appropriate to remind people that they can contact the local Garda station, and we maybe get likes of caravans and trailers property marked as well.
Yeah, that's really important.
We do have, in association with the county council, we have the equipment to do that.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay. Now to some warnings. Counterfeit notes. We're all digital. We're tapping left, right and centre, right? But we obviously still use some notes, and whilst I don't think we see as much, and maybe that leaves us less vulnerable, more vulnerable.
Yeah,
there are still some dodgy notes knocking about.
Yeah, I suppose we've kind of moved on to online and scams and phishing scams and stuff like that. But yeah, we still seeing fake notes, and I think the last time I was on, Greg, we had it as well, and it seems to be at the moment sterling notes, so whatever extra layer of confusion that adds for staff members at checkouts. We just want to make people aware, business owners and staff aware, that last week, indeed in Buncrana and Letterkenny, there was £20 sterling Bank of England notes. And the strange thing about these notes, where there was where the crown is located on the top left side, there's a little kind of or it's not fluorescent, it's a little foil patch, and if you pick at that, you can pick it off, and underneath it says prop money. So it's prop money, and however these people are getting their hands on it. I presume it's probably easy enough to get your hands on, but if you just run your fingernail over that sticker, it can peel off, and that'll indicate that it's a fraudulent note. So in Bundoran, between 5 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. last Sunday, the 14th, male entered a business premises, and he handed over a number of these notes, and unfortunately he left before it was discovered. So he's described as being of stocky build and wearing all black, white trainers and a black baseball cap. We're going through the CCTV at the moment, but my colleagues in Bundoran and Ballyshannon, again, on 071 9858 530 if anyone can help us in relation to that appeal.
More traffic on the roads now. It's instantly recognisable with all the schools back, and what's also recognisable is how the darkness is edging into the morning and creeping in the evenings as well. It's a very different environment out there, and just a reminder that if we're all sharing the same road space now, we have to be safe, we have to be seen, we have to be conscious.
Yeah, we're definitely a county that is good at our walking and running and utilising our roads. It's amazing, but we're definitely a county of 5Kers and stuff now at the minute, Greg. So 99% of people are wearing their high-vis and stuff, Greg, but just use this opportunity now, to, especially when the evenings are closing in, to remind people that if you're cycling a bicycle, you need, not just by legislation, but for your own safety, you need front and rear lights on the bicycle and make sure they're working. And also, wear your high-vis vest, and if you're walking on a country road that's not unlit, maybe carry a torch. A phone's not really great, Greg.
No, it's not. Yeah, you're right.
So some people are,
and also too, we're at that point whereby if you're going out for your 5K or whatever, if you leave at 7 and it might feel bright, you're going to be heading back home or to the car in darkness.
Yeah.
And also another thing, if you don't mind me saying, and someone pointed that out yesterday, there seems to be a particular thing with scooter riders. Well, A, not on the road, but B, when they are all in black. I'm not saying there's something going on. We've there,
all
right?
Noticed it, Greg,
but it just seems to be less high-vis employed by e-scooter users.
Well, I don't know. I'm guessing, Greg, it's just winter wear because it's generally darker clothing.
Cold,
So we have some high-vis vests in Letterkenny Garda station. You can call down to the public office there, and we'll be delighted to give you out whatever we have. So if anybody wants some, call down to Letterkenny station. I'm sure other district headquarters have them as well.
Yeah. So lights working front and back. Keep them on even during the day, because it can get dark very, very quickly as well. And us as drivers, and I say that because I don't use the road in any other way really, we have to make sure we're alert, we slow down, we don't take any chances and expect the unexpected. It's the standard, but it's for a reason, isn't it? It's basic stuff.
Yeah, we're all looking to cut down on the number of fatalities in Donegal and nationwide, Greg. And every little appeal, I suppose, if we just get that little message out there, a little thing in the back of your head.
All right, we question from last week. I think I could probably answer this one. Greg, is a learner driver covered if they're accompanied by someone who has taken a drink?
Yeah, it's a good question, Greg. I suppose it's probably not like crystal clear in the legislation, but for us it is, and we take a common sense approach. As a learner driver, you have to have a qualified person beside you. So that qualified person is someone that has had that category of license. So for a car, that will be category B. They have to have had that license for at least 2 years, and they're the what we call the qualified person in terms of legislation. So under the Road Traffic Act, that person is responsible and can be deemed in charge of the vehicle. So we have a situation where the learner may be driving, but the person actually in charge of the vehicle is the supervising driver. So that person can be breathalyzed and tested for alcohol and drugs, the same as if they were in the driver's seat. So you're in charge of the vehicle when you're
So in relation to that, is it possible then that the accompanying person, if they're over the limit, could be done for drink driving, or would it be a separate sort of charge in control of a vehicle, intoxicated in control of a vehicle?
Yeah, so you'd have to be driving the vehicle for being to be charged with drunk or intoxicated driving. But if you're in charge of the vehicle, that's a separate offence. So Section 4 of the Road Traffic Act is when you're driving the vehicle, and Section 5 is when you're in charge of the vehicle. So in this instance, that would be someone in charge of the vehicle. And the courts side very strongly with the guards when it comes to, and they have a wide-ranging terminology for someone being in charge of a vehicle. You don't actually have to be driving. You can be, people have been convicted before, Greg, of sitting in a vehicle.
Yeah.
Not even keys in the ignition, but the keys in their pocket, and they've been charged with being drunk in charge. And the penalties for drunk in charge are the exact same as being drunk or intoxicated.
But again, I'm not. I don't want to ask a question that may encourage criminality. That's not it. It's out of ignorance. Does that mean that Garda will take it on a case-by-case basis and employ discretion? No, it's okay.
No, people will see it at our checkpoints and stuff. If we have a learner driver, both the learner driver and the accompanying person is breathalyzed.
Okay, all right, yeah, there you go. Very interesting. That's as clear as it possibly could be, and that's what I expected the answer to be as well. Right, now, a coffee morning taking place in Donegal town.
Yes, this is in memory of a dear colleague and a friend of ours, Charlie Gallagher, who sadly passed away. So this is a coffee morning in his memory on Friday the 19th of September between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. at Donegal Town Garda Station. Everyone is welcome to attend. If you've never been to one of these coffee mornings and you're free at that time, please call in and meet your local guards and get a cup of coffee.
Lovely stuff. Now, all roads this evening lead to the Diamond in Donegal town. The Abbey Hotel is hosting the Donegal Garda Youth Awards.
Yeah, I know you mentioned this just before I came on, Greg. So again, just want to express our thanks to yourself.
I want the big sell here now.
Yeah,
no, I want you to step out of your comfort zone, right? Put on your showbiz.
Yeah.
Put on your sparkly jacket. We're looking for the big sell. Grania and the rest of the crew need this. Come on.
Well, Grania is stressed to eyeballs at the minute. She couldn't even speak to me this morning there, Greg, but she did want to put on record that we appreciate your support, Greg, and Kevin Fury from Highland Radio for coming down and making a special occasion for these amazing young people, Greg, who were an inspiration for their own generation and their families and teachers and youth leaders. That's amazing.
And I will just chuck this in, if you don't mind as well. I don't want to come into a back patting situation. There's a lot of guards actually not necessarily in the clock turn up to this and put their time into this as well too, in fairness, not least our mutual friend Grania, but others as well too, that will be there making the room look lovely. And it is a real team effort. It's great, as I mentioned earlier, that Supermacs are on board, tasty and tempting. It's always good for an event like this to get big support. So just to remind the listeners what's going to happen tonight, we're going to be...
So this is in the Abbey Hotel in Donegal town, and as you say, it's in conjunction with Supermax, which is fantastic. This is like the people that have qualified, and the winners will be announced at the event. So we're looking forward to meeting all of the young people who were nominated along with their families. And listen, it's just a fantastic event, and we're so delighted to be involved in these kind of community things, Greg, as something positive for ourselves, rather than because a lot of the times we're associated with a lot of negativity. So it's nice to be involved with this, and it's similar to our school quiz, which usually comes up around I think January or February as well.
Indeed, that's a huge one as well. Listen, Niall, thanks so very much indeed for joining us. That was Garda Niall Maguire from the Falcarra Garda Station, and that was Community Garda information for this Tuesday, the 16th of September. It's back after the 10 o'clock news here in Highland Radio next Tuesday, and you'll be able to catch up with the audio on our podcast from 12:30, and you can stream it, restream it effectively on our socials whenever it suits you.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
If you're aged 59 to 70, we will invite you for a free HSE bowel screening home test. Screening can help find signs of bowel cancer early, before any symptoms show, making it easier to treat.
Renew your home home with great offers from Yisk. We have a wide assortment, and right now you can save up to 60% on, for example, indoor furniture or home textiles. Yisk.
Scandinavian sleeping and living.
You catch them in the corner of your eye, refusing to blend in. An electrifying presence you can't forget. The new Cupra Performance plug-in hybrid range is designed to move you further. With up to 130 kilometers of electric autonomy, you can set your course without compromise. Search Cupra plug-in hybrid today. All-electric range based on WLTP test data. Real-world driving results may vary.
Your local dealer is DMG Motors, Clough Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
If you have a special occasion coming up, Watson Menswear stock a great selection of men's and boys' formal and casual wear. Top casual brands include Mishmash, French Connection, Tommy Bow and Penguin. Formal wear names include Rimazumo, Sixth Sense and White Label, with a special suit deal of a three-piece suit, shirt, tie and shoes, all for only €299. Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and at watsonmenswear.com.
It's Patrick Feeney here, and I'm looking forward to the Highland Radio Country Music Weekend at the Clanry Hotel in Letterkenny this October the 31st and November the 1st. I'll be on stage along with Michael English, David James, Stacey Breen and Jordan McBoden. It's going to be 2 fantastic nights of music and dancing, but spaces are filling fast, so book now at theclanryhotel.com or highlandradio.com.
Don't delay when you get your bowel screening invitation. Call us today on 1-800 45 45 55 or visit bowelscreen.ie. From the HSE.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. Just to remind you, coming up after 11 o'clock, we are going to be speaking to Margaret and Paula Martin. They're going to be joining me in studio. They're, of course, coming down from Fanad. They were victims of Con Cunningham and were this week given an apology yesterday by the Diocese of Rafo. So stay tuned for that. I can say good morning now to Daniel O'Donnell. Good morning, Daniel.
Morning. How are you doing, Greg?
I'm doing all right. It's all right. You take a bit of a break from touring. A bit of time for yourself, etc. But you're doing a tour now, telling everyone that you're okay and everything's fine. But I suppose it's such as the outpouring of love and affection for you, Daniel.
Listen, I'm fine. I am taking a break at the end of the year for a wee while, just away from touring. But I'm still doing some things. I'll be doing the Opry shows at some point in Derry. I'm doing Gertrude Burns Cruise, and I'll be at the festival, of course, in Dunlow, and Relay for Life, and a few things like that. But just for a wee while, I want to take a break from the touring.
I know you love touring, performing, and meeting people. It's evident. How tough is it, though? Because all the travel, staying away from home in different rooms here, there and everywhere, having to be on every night for consecutive nights. And as I say, I know it's in your nature to enjoy that type of stuff, but it must be tough. And maybe sometimes us regular folk don't take that enough into consideration.
Well, to be honest, Greg, I never really found any difficulty with it, down through the years. I enjoyed it, as you said, and the travelling didn't bother me at all. I suppose in the last year, maybe, I found I had a lot of bother with allergies and chest things that I'm fine with now because I've found sort of medication that's working well for me. But I also found too that maybe, believe it or not, I suppose I have to admit that I'm in my 60s, and although that's not old, there's things you can't do in your 60s that you could do in your 30s or 40s. And I found just the travelling, all the consecutive nights was just a bit maybe more than I could have done a number of years ago. And I just thought maybe I would need to readdress how I go forward. So I decided to take a break was the best way. Maybe find out if I can get over these allergies without medication, I suppose by diet or whatever. And then maybe come back and do less shows one after the other, not doing big long tours. So that's kind of what I have no plan really as to how I'm going to do it, but that's that's part of my reasoning for taking a break.
But do you know what? Isn't it great to be able to make these calls and have the self-awareness to do it when in good health, general good health, rather than running yourself into the ground? Too many of us, I'm thinking it's good advice a lot of people could take. Look after yourself when you're well.
Well, I suppose I'm in a very fortunate position that I'm able to do that. Everybody maybe wouldn't be able just to say, well, I'll take a break now from what I'm doing. Some people just have to keep going because, whatever demands are on them, be it financially or family or whatever it might be. But I'm in that, I suppose, blessed position that I can take a break and look at how I'm doing things. So I'm lucky from that respect, thank God.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously, then at the same time, probably for some of the same reasons, because of how busy you may or may not be, though I still doubt you won't be flat out all next year. But anyway, the fan club, the long-running fan club, will cease operations. And that sounds incredibly dramatic, but I would say there's a massive crossover between fan club members and those that are getting instant access to info directly from you on the likes of Facebook, Daniel.
Yeah, it's something really we've been sort of looking at for the last while. And now, like when the fan club started, it started about 1980, probably 85, and it was started by Loretta, who worked with me for many years. And Loretta and a number of people, Tina McMenamin did Ireland, Loretta did the UK, and then it extended to other parts. And different people were involved down through the years. But a young lady called Suzanne has run it for the last while out of the UK, but it covered the whole world, wherever people might want to join from. But in the last wee while, with social media, the fan club was to keep people up to date. And now, you can do something. I'm talking to you now, and there's probably somebody looking at it in New Zealand or Australia.
Yep.
Instantly. That was not available when the fan club started. And the purpose of fan clubs is to keep people up to date with what somebody is doing. And because now people can get it instantly, really, on whatever Facebook or wherever they look for it, it just makes fan clubs and the way that ours was really not necessary. I mean, there's still certainly people that are in the fan club that probably would like to keep it going. But it's from a financial point of view, to be able to give them the fan club that they want, it's not. They don't have the membership.
You see, I think at this point, to retain it is almost for nostalgic reasons rather than necessity, because things have advanced so much.
There's not the amount of people are not there that need what the fan club was set up for, But yes, it's unfortunate, but I think people understand everything at its time.
A quick word, Relay for Life this year, something incredibly close to yourself and Majella's hearts, 222,000 raised this year, there or thereabouts. Since 2012 now, over 2 million. And the money's one thing, right? But there's a community, there's the remembrance, people being uplifted, that adds so much more value. What an amazing total to breach 2 million. And as I say, in addition, everything else positive that comes with that event, focusing on something that can have such a negative impact. It's such an oxymoron. But you must be very pleased with how it's going, Daniel.
It's amazing, really. And I mean, I need to compliment everybody involved that, set up really and make it work on the day. And there's a lot of work behind the scenes, not just on the day of, or the 2 days over really, but all year people are working, the committee are working. And it's an amazing event to be at. And I suppose I keep saying to people, that if they can come out, it'll be on again next year, and you'll be publishing the dates, but or telling people about the dates. But if people can come out just to support it, yes, the money is important, and because money is raised for cancer charities in whatever way or wherever, it means that there will be people today that are well that will unfortunately get their diagnosis, that this money will help to, let them live. That's why Magella has survived, because people before raised money that, she was able to benefit from the research that was done.
One last
So-
question, Daniel, if you don't mind. If I get one more blooming text of a person that wants you to run for president, I'll tell you, the text machine has been locked up here, right? Now, I know you've taken some life decisions to allow yourself a little bit more time. Did it ever cross your mind? Would it ever cross your mind? Because I'll tell you one thing. I'm talking a lot of messages saying our own Daniel O'Donnell would be perfect for that job. Could you ever see yourself in the Irish?
No, well, first of all, I suppose the funny thing about it is all this business. It's funny that I would say I was taking a break and then the fan club stopped, and it's almost like I'm coming on here today to make an announcement. But no, and listen, I will have to say honestly, I would be honoured, and anybody would be honoured to be the president of their own country. Now, that's first of all, I'll say that, and I'm not dismissing the honour that it would be, but I just don't feel it's something that I just don't feel that I would be the right person for that role. I mean, I just think that there's more to it than just being able to, meet people and be up there in the Irish being the president. I think you need a bit of a political background.
I don't think you do. That's what would make the likes of yourself so attracted to it. I think the people don't want this position to be political. They want an ambassador, someone who they can relate to, someone who can represent us. And I'll tell you, the Daniel O'Donnell boxes, they keep getting ticked on that one.
Well, I'm sorry. I just don't feel it's right for me. So I'll have to pass on this one. But I appreciate people thinking that I might be good enough to fill that role. But I doubt. No, I'll have to stay as I am. I'll just have to come back singing.
All right. Well, I'll never go away singing, if the truth be told.
Well,
Right.
I wouldn't be able to do Relay for Life, and I wouldn't be able to sing at the country concert and Mary from Donegal Festival. So.
Yeah, and you'd be giving up stuff that's so important to you. Listen, thanks so very much for all of that convo. Lovely to speak to you, Daniel. Thank you. Look after yourself and love to Magella and all. Thank you. Okay, that is our own Daniel O'Donnell there.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
I was in pain for over a year. Once I went to see my GP, he referred me to Kingsbridge. My experience at Kingsbridge was fantastic. Everybody was very friendly. They couldn't do enough for you.
Public patients in the Republic of Ireland can get rapid access to cross-border surgeries at Kingsbridge private hospitals in Belfast and Derry, with medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. Find out more at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/cross-border. Kingsbridge, your fast track to 5-star care. Terms and conditions apply.
All across Ireland, music fills cafes, salons, offices, gyms and restaurants. It creates a vibe, makes people smile. It might even turn a 4-star review into a 5. Music can lift moods, boost sales and improve staff morale. Whether your business plays background radio or a curated playlist, you need a music licence. It ensures music creators are fairly paid for their work. Buy your licence today at imro.ie/pay now, because music drives business.
Meet Siobhan. She made big savings on her car insurance when she made the switch to Outsurance.
Hi, I'm Siobhan. It's true, I saved €298 when I made the switch. And with the Out bonus, I'll get 10% of my premiums back, in cash, after 3 years claim-free.
Class. For a competitive car insurance quote like Siobhan's, call 1-800-600-400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison, the customer received a gratuity for their participation. Out bonus calculated less taxes and levies. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Car and home insurance is underwritten by Outsurance DAC. Outsurance DAC, trading as Outsurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Remember a loved one with a personalised memorial, acknowledgement or wallet cards from BizPrint, using your choice of wording and background. Call in and speak to Catherine at BizPrint, Port Road, Letterkenny, or call 91 779 55. Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So after this bright morning, cloud will build from the southwest through the late afternoon and evening. Temperatures 14 to 16 degrees and light to moderate westerly winds backing southerly later. I can't stop asking questions today, which means I keep making the news late. My apologies. We'll have the news with Michaela after these messages.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Do you sometimes struggle to hear? It could just be earwax and it's easily treated. Hidden Hearing right now are offering free earwax removal for everyone over 60, carried out by our qualified earwax technicians. Call 1-800-370-000 or go to hiddenhearing.ie. Hidden Hearing, your hearing is our expertise. T's and C's apply.
New this week in Home Store and More. All ottomans are all half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price ottomans are gone, they're gone. Also, all bar stools are still all half price, and all mattress toppers are still all 33% off. But when all the half price bar stools and all the 33% off mattress toppers are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
ESB Networks has now installed over 2 million smart meters in homes, farms and businesses across Ireland. With a smart meter, you're in control. Track your daily, weekly and monthly usage so you can choose the right electricity plan for your home. Sign up to a free ESB Networks online account today and see how your smart meter can work for you. ESB Networks. Energising your everything.
Sometimes it's just bad luck, but sometimes it's negligence. From minor bumps to life-changing injury, every accident has a story. Time to call McElhenny and Associates. They'll assess the situation, advise on solutions, and lead the way if any litigation is to follow. From motor accidents and workplace accidents to slips, trips and falls, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. Let's get you started on the road to recovery. McElhenny and Associates Solicitors, Donegal. How can we help? In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Thinking about changing your car? Making the change is easier than ever at Kelly's Toyota, thanks to Toyota Approved Used. Choose from our extensive range of used passenger and commercial vehicles, including 242 and 251 demo models at great prices. Tested and approved by Ireland's most trusted car brand. All our cars come with a 12-month comprehensive warranty with flexible payment options available. Talk to Kelly's Toyota today. Toyota, built for a better world. Terms and conditions apply.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to noon show on Highland Radio.
And it's 11 o'clock. I'm in studio here with Michaela Clark with the latest news headlines. Good morning, Michaela.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A UN commission has concluded that Israel has committed and continues to commit genocide in Gaza. It says it's clear there's an intent to destroy the Palestinians there. It's the first time a UN body has made such a finding. The brother of William McKinney, whose soldier F is charged with the murder of on Bloody Sunday, hopes the right decision will be delivered. The trial of the former British paratrooper began at Belfast Crown Court yesterday. He is also charged with killing James Ray and the attempted murders of 5 others at a civil rights march in Derry in 1972. Tipperary County Council could prove crucial for Gareth Sheridan as it decides whether or not to nominate someone to run for the president today. A number of presidential hopefuls are currently making their pitches to councillors. Independent TD Michael Lowry's team of 5 Tipperary councillors have indicated they will not block any nominations. Garda are appealing for witnesses to a crash in Kilmacrennan last week. A motorcycle and a lorry collided at the crossroads on Main Street on Thursday last at around 12:50pm. The motorcyclist was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital for treatment to injuries sustained. Anyone who witnessed the crash or who has dashcam footage is urged to contact Garda in Milford. Northern Ireland politicians will debate calls for regulation around bonfires later today. A motion's been brought by Sinn Féin in the wake of some controversial bonfires in the north over the summer. They include a loyalist one in Belfast in July, which was built close to an electricity substation, and a Republican bonfire in Derry in August, which featured placards with the names of politicians, police officers and a dead child. Another rain warning has been issued for Donegal. The Stanislao warning will come into effect at 10 o'clock tonight and will remain in place until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Met Éireann is warning of heavy spells of blustery rain leading to difficult travelling conditions, poor visibility and localised flooding. Garda and Donegal are warning of the circulation of counterfeit Bank of England £20 sterling notes. It's after a man entered a business premises in Bundoran on Sunday between 5 and 5:30pm and handed over a number of fake notes. It wasn't until he vacated the premises that it emerged the notes were duds. The HSE is again urging parents to register for the RSV vaccine ahead of the winter season. The health service says the infection can cause hospitalisations, including some serious illness, especially among young infants. And investigations are ongoing into the theft of a caravan from the Barnesmore Gap area. The Supreme caravan, which is white in colour with a pink stripe and no registration plate, was parked at a lay-by near the picnic area. It was stolen between 7pm on Tuesday last and 7am the following morning. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12.
Thanks so much, Michaela.
Deirdre, when you're picking your kids up at school, will you get mine too? I've run out of petrol and my insurance doesn't have breakdown assistance, so I'm stranded here. Don't tell the kids that though. They'll never stop slagging me.
Real life, written by you, underwritten by Allianz. Get covered with breakdown assistance and 15% off car insurance policies at allianz.ie. Allianz plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Standard acceptance criteria, minimum premiums and terms and conditions apply. Breakdown assistance is an optional extra. An additional premium applies.
Okie doke, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. Ask Daniel O'Donnell if he's offended when someone impersonates him. Well, I know for a fact he's not, because he's invited people on stage to impersonate him, and I've heard him rank those that have. So I know for a fact that he isn't offended, because his actions say otherwise. Please ask Daniel to run for president. Well, as much as I could, I did. Interesting, you know. I mean, he says it's not for him. He doesn't want to do it, and it would stop him doing other stuff that he enjoys. But you can see there's a little twinkle there that perhaps if things were a little bit different, perhaps he might. I don't want to put words into the man's mouth. He spoke very clearly and ruled himself out of it, but still. A caller says, it's good to have you home always. Enjoy your time off touring. I'm so glad you can now chill out. But as he mentioned there, Daniel O'Donnell's version of chilling out is a lot of people's version of working flat out, if that makes sense. Please warn anyone travelling on the N13 Letterkenny Drumkeen Ballabafray Road. Please allow extra time, roughly 20 minutes each way. It's great to see upgrades, but the delay they cause is ridiculous. Why are these works not done at night? Well, you can probably double or triple, I don't know how it works, contracts to expect people to work through the night, because you're asking people who you employ ordinarily in daytime hours to work through the night, and that comes at a premium. That would drive up the cost of contracts. Maybe that would mean this work doesn't get done at all. I'm not defending that situation. I'm just trying to look at the reality. Makes sense, do them at night, but you know yourself. The whole town is bad with traffic, says a caller, which always means Letterkenny. Morning, Greg. Is there a more useless organisation than the UN? What do they actually ever do? Apart from condone things and complain, they never apply forceful actions to anything. Utterly useless. Netanyahu is doing a great job of flattening the Gaza Strip for his buddy Trump, for his Riviera of the Middle East. The world is a sick, sick place. Dog eat dog. We haven't changed since the Romans. I think we're edging back the way more than we ever were. It is, you know, you have to protect yourself and you have to protect your mind, because everywhere you look, if you didn't protect yourself and allow yourself space, there seems like there's negativity, or the walls seem to be closing in. And that's why it's so important that we realise there's an awful lot of light in life as well. Whilst we're not obviously empathetic, sympathetic or campaigning to help others, you do need space for yourself to breathe, to drop your shoulders, to let the back muscles loosen a little bit. Because if you didn't do that, that's why, and people criticise, that's why I watch some nonsense on telly. I don't watch the 6 o'clock news. I don't watch the 9 o'clock news. I watch nonsense. And it's just a way of sort of breaking away from it, breaking away from what's going on. Greg, it's ridiculous the fuss about a man mimicking Barack Obama. Sure, on St. Patrick's Day, I see people dress up as the Pope. Don't hear anyone being offended. Yeah, it's when you go into the space of race that seems to be an issue. A caller says, not only bullying children at schools, the HSE is widespread with the bullying of adults. Now, not something I'd be privy with, but if you want to give us more information into that or what you mean by it, please let us know. Still waiting on that guest to join, Caroline, by the way, so I know you're under pressure with time. Road safety, on the issue of, my wife and young child had to sit in the road in Manor on Saturday night for 10 minutes as the roadway was blocked with diffing and the guards were notified. What's going on there? I think there needs to be... a couple of weekends, or whenever the hotspots is, there needs to be a couple of weekends where maybe even actually resources are diverted to that. If there's a resources issue, have like the go slow days or whatever they're called. I think we in Donegal need to actually sort of say, right, what can we do over the course of a couple of weekends? And I hate to talk about cracking down and law and all that kind of stuff, but look, in the absence of that, what do we do? We need to have a couple of weekends where all resources are diverted to taking these people off the streets, because it's dangerous and people are trapped and they feel like no one's listening to them, and I certainly don't want to be part of the cohort that they feel is not listening. Hi Greg, bottom line, if you're over 30, it would take a substantial amount of your weekly, monthly income in order to build a minimum of pension benefits. Get your experts to comment on that, please. That comes in from Liam. Also at present, with participation rates, how much would you need for a pension of 25k per annum? We might do that again. The one thing when I talk about pensions with pension experts, and I don't mean this badly against them, there's a lot of humming and hawing. It's never that clear, because pensions is effectively your money invested. And, it goes up and down and left and right and all this kind of stuff. It's very hard to drill in and get those proper answers. Right, I'm going to be joined by John McAteer very shortly. He's with me actually on the line. I'll be going to John and later joined by Margaret and Paula Martin. And it is to track the story from a journalistic perspective, and then the human perspective with Margaret and Paula. And I imagine that's probably going to take up the rest of the show. So I'm going to take a break now, and John McAteer will join me shortly thereafter.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Má tá tú idir 5 agus 7 bliain díos, joid tú cuireadh scág hástáil potóige báilíon HSE siar an aisce íalna. Cabhraíonn an scág hástáil le cóirí luad ailse potóige aimsiú, solamíonn aon symptom le feiceáil agus bíonn sin níos fosa í a chóiráil chomhar.
Monster Bingo every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel. €3,300 must go with €1,000 on the last page. Doors open 7:30. Bingo starts at 8:30. That's Monster Bingo this and every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford.
It's Cabaret 25 at Harvey's Point. We start again on Wednesday, September the 3rd, and every Wednesday until November the 5th. An amazing lineup of stars, gourmet food, the warmest of welcomes, and all in the beautiful surrounds of Harvey's Point on Lough Esk, Donegal town. Book today 074 972 2208 or harveyspoint.com. The Harvey's Point Cabaret, a night not to be missed.
We know we've a lot to get through. Searching for low prices shouldn't be one of them. That's why Screwfix check prices daily on over 1,000 essentials and basics. Screwfix, low price, checked.
Is your couch older than your Spotify playlist? Is your dining table wobblier than your uncle at a wedding? If so, it's time for an upgrade at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny, the largest furniture store in the Northwest. From stylish sofas to elegant beds, from floor covering to occasional pieces, we've got you covered. And we offer free delivery within 80 kilometres. Grove Furnishings. Seriously good furniture.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
Well, the time now is 12 minutes past 11, and I'm joined on the line now by John McAteer, editor of the Tyrconnell Tribune. John, thanks so much for joining me this morning. I hope you are well.
I am indeed, Greg.
Right, as I mentioned to our listeners, soon I'm going to be joined in studio by Margaret and Paula Martin. They were victims of Con Cunningham and were this week given an apology yesterday by the Diocese of Raphoe. And I want to speak to the ladies about, I suppose, their journey to get to that apology. And it's been a long, long journey. This, of course, is a story that you've been tracking right from the get-go, John. So maybe I might get from you the background to this case, how it emerged, and you might take us through that, John.
I suppose we begin with Father Con Cunningham being made the priest in Fanavolta, the curate, in 1970. He was there for 10 years or thereabouts. And in that time, he became very active and very involved in almost every activity, especially children's games, the community games and all of that kind of thing. And indeed, it wasn't that long after he arrived when concerns began to emerge, and they came from other parishes as well, that his behaviour in the company of young girls was unacceptable, and it just wasn't good enough. But remember, we were living in an era in the 70s where people were really scared of the church. They believed in eternal hell and damnation, and the church had browbeaten them into submission.
And unfortunately, that was a culture that the perpetrators of these crimes exploited. They knew what was going on.
They knew exactly what was going on, and indeed there was a fair element of cover-up going on as well, because I was visited long before any of this came into the light of day by two clergymen to say to me, "Why do you not like the church? Why are you annoying us?" And the words that I used to them would have been four-letter expletives. And it went on from there. And Father Con eventually would have departed in around the middle of 1980. And the rumours were there. The rumour mill was very, very strong about him. And indeed, rumours were coming in from various other parishes across the diocese where he had served. And one of the features, when you look back on it, bishops kept moving people like him and Father Eugene Green around because they knew, but they just wanted to keep they were protecting the church rather than anything else. And this is one of the awful things to emerge from the Martin sisters, who were first abused in the early 1970s. And now this week, they're finally getting that apology. I first of all to congratulate both of them, because they have stayed with it. They have lived through very dark and very shocking times. And I would have known all about it. The first contact they made with me officially was in some days before Christmas in 2019. And I met with them within that week before the paper was published again at the beginning of January. And it was the most harrowing case that I have ever sat and listened to. They had a statement prepared for me, very well prepared. It didn't need any alterations. I just sat there frozen. I think maybe 3 to 4 hours in Kerry-Keel. And you could feel their pain and their hurt, but you could not quite equate that to why they were abused and why the church had stayed silent and why they'd done nothing about it. It is absolutely shocking and disgraceful, and it still is to this very day, because the church, back in those days, they just simply controlled the flock, lock, stock and barrel.
Can you recall when the sisters first came forward or made, let the church know what was happening to them and how they were treated, or how their reports were dealt with?
Well, that was 1994. Bishop Seamus Hegarty was here. It was some time before he departed for the Derry Diocese. They met at some considerable length with Bishop Hegarty, from what I recall them telling me at the time. And the main thing was that he reassured them again and again that he believed every last word that they were saying. But unfortunately, nothing more happened then for 8 years. Now, it's that gap that's not really, it's a grey area. There are reasons for it. I'm not going to go into specific details here on the radio. But at the end of the day, when you're advised by the bishop, you have to accept that what he's telling you is actually true. It was not at the top of anybody's agenda in clerical in the clerical arena.
Do you
That
know
must
if this? Do you know if these were the first allegations that have been made against Cunningham in '94?
I'm not too sure of that.
And,
we have never found that out.
And immediately after, you know, the problem is, and you can see it, it's recognised in the diocesan press release. There were so many opportunities, firstly to give the sisters justice, but to protect other children, and you know the relevant authorities weren't told. People were moved around. Things were covered up. Thankfully, I hope those things can't happen now. But rather than sort of, this person was almost enabled and must have felt empowered to do whatever the hell they liked.
Absolutely, because he had the cover of community games, underage girls football, table tennis, various other things like that, and he had won over the parents. They could see no wrong, and I feel so sorry for them because lots of them are still alive. You know, I mean, to them he was just God. He was so hardworking. But we were aware of that in the mid-1970s. I'm not going to repeat on the airwaves what we saw, what we heard. But, you know, in 2002, Bishop Hegarty was gone. Nothing was done for the Martins. Absolutely nothing. They had laid down red lines for Bishop Hegarty, and that was a full and frank apology from Father Cunningham that he be removed from ministry, which was not going to happen until 2002. He was in Falcara at that point. But the shocking thing was that he was removed from ministry, and just moving away from the Martin sisters for a minute, just to show you what was going on in the church. Bishop Hegarty went to Derry. Bishop Philip Boyce came here. That was October 94. End of June 95. Bishop Philip Boyce came here. His first ever appointment as a bishop. He was from one of the orders, and he was consecrated in, I think, October, late September. So a lot had happened, and all of a sudden there was 3 bishops altogether involved here. You had Bishop Hegarty, you had Bishop Boyce, and then this was left, unfortunately, to another new bishop to try and deal with it. But in the meantime, Father Con was out of sight, out of mind. He was removed from ministry in Falcara. I remember dealing with that on behalf of the people of Falcara. He was missing for numbers of weeks. And at that time, their big worry was that they might be losing. See, at a stage, Falcara was only a curacy in the Garda parish. And I followed that up, and I heard a few things that made me worry about it. And after some years, I discovered the real truth was that Father Cunningham was sent back to Carrick, where he was born and lived, to reside beside the National School in a small council house. And within days, they discovered that his behaviour was bizarre, as they put it. Bizarre. He was in the play yard organising young girls to play games and giving them bars of chocolate. And fair play to the community in Carrick and to numbers of individuals who set up their own observation committee. And that meant that they had to observe him school hours, morning, playtime, and all of that. It split the parish to a certain extent. And then on one occasion, a member of the community was attending a meeting in Letterkenny where he met with a superintendent from Letterkenny, and talk got around during a break, and he relayed the issue about Father Con and the concerns. And the superintendent's eyes just rolled, and he said to the man, "Do you know something? We have some details on that man in the Garda station, and we'll go up there and look for it when the meeting is over," which they did. And there on Father Con's file in red letters was that he was a risk at the higher end of the scale of abusing again. Now, that was how they handled that. Bishop Alan McGuckian had to come in here, and now we have Monsignor Kevin Gillespie trying to deal with it to the best as they can. And I can't offer any criticism of Kevin Gillespie, because all he can deal with is what he has in front of him. What he doesn't have is the information that some of us were provided with as journalists. And that's what worries me.
Or some answers as well as to what really was going on. Who decided not to report it to the correct authorities? Or was it an oversight? Who decided to move people around? You know, because
the bishops move people around.
Yeah, but
they did all the time.
Yeah, no, I know it was they, but what was actually fundamentally going on there? I mean, people will draw their own conclusions. It's just that Margaret and Paula came forward for a reason in 1994, and this was to protect other children.
Yeah,
and we know about some, and we don't know about others who, despite their best efforts and consistent efforts, this person was left in a position to continue to do this to other people. So if I were told by a bishop in 94, I believe you, I trust what you're saying, but that person then is still given the platform to exploit other children, that would ring very hollow with me. And it took them again to come forward again, enough is enough, to try and get this person away from vulnerable children. And when I say vulnerable children, any child is vulnerable to an evil person like this, by the way. I'm not using the word vulnerable children in some context. It could be moved. And then we are to presume now that safeguards are in place, and I presume we can trust to ensure something like this can't happen again. But I'm so conscious that this person was so prolific potentially, John, that there are those, and I'll give some advice lines out a little later on, you know, that are probably still privately dealing with this person's actions.
I know that. I'm hearing from people. I talked to a man last week who was a key figure as a representative of the abused, and that is Michael Gallagher, or Martin Gallagher from Garda, now living in Falcara, and he's living with that to this very day. And so are many others. From time to time, you'll get a flurry of calls. And just one example, I mean, I was accosted at Port Solomon Beach in about, 1995? No, 1975. And that was 1975. And that as a journalist, I was doing nothing to exploit or to inform the public about Father Cunningham's behaviour. And around 95, that same person came to me to apologise and said it was endemic in Fanet and that our own family had been victims of it, and they were afraid of their lives, that they would have to appear in court. Now, the sad thing about this here, I just have to be very clear about this and very specific about this. A complaint can only be made by the complainant that's accepted by the Garda. This is the fault line. Now, the possibility is that those people who made the complaints were left in a grey area there. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty certain that the Martin sisters were not to blame for that. In fact, I'm absolutely certain they were given to understand that, with the words that were used, no, we will look after that for you. Whilst, in fact, the exact opposite was the case. Now, you can imagine Father Philip Boyce arriving in for after spending his life in Rome. The audits were ongoing around that 2010, 2011 time. There was very little being thrown up in the audits from Ian Elliott's more than a year in Donegal. The abuse was endemic, but the cover-up was absolutely scandalous. And to this very day, people will say to me, what have you against the clergy? You're writing about them. You're accusing them of clerical sex abuse. I have nothing against them, only to tell the truth, which they have failed to do. Now, we have moved on from that, as you said. We hope that we have moved away from that. But that stain is still there. Fanet seemed to have, and there's a couple of other parishes where Father Con spent 8 and 9 years where nothing really happened. But Fanet has that stain of clerical sex abuse. And the only redeeming factor for me was that when I put that story in the paper, the support was overwhelming. Mm-hmm. It came from everywhere. Mm-hmm. But on top of that came complaints from everywhere else. And all I could do was counsel those people, because I had done a bit of that when I worked at St. Connell's. Mm-hmm. But if my first advice to them was to make tracks for the local Garda station, and you'll be received with a sympathetic ear and make your complaint.
Yeah, a couple of people have texting in, one example, government media, are they not taking responsibility? Why did John not report to the Garda the information he had? Well, I'm literally, as we speak right now, in communication with two individuals on social media, trying to offer them support and a bit of guidance. You cannot, on someone else's behalf, go and report information. That just simply is not how it works.
No, that's totally wrong. That caller said, "Why didn't I go and support or talk to the guards?" That has been very presumptuous. The guards were spoken to on several occasions, and they were very sympathetic, and they were giving their own advice. Advise those people to come and talk to us. They have nothing to fear. But if you're paralysed with fear and you've been abused and you have to live with that, you can understand that very, very, very clearly.
And you can't re-traumatize that person or make that person a victim again. It's up to them.
That story on the 2nd of January 2020 was the first time that something went into the public domain. Now, I done that on the basis and in trust of Paula and Margaret Martin in their home at Christmas time. And I had no compulsion at all. I didn't contact anyone. I accepted what they told me was the gospel truth. And to this day, I've trusted them, and I know now that they've been vindicated and cleared and they've received their apology. Okay. And I congratulate them on the heroic efforts down the years to try and live with it and to cope under huge shadows. Because remember, you're living in an era now where people are a bit more open, but not as much as you might think.
No. There's an awful lot going on. There's a recent case where, unfortunately, another member of the clergy is before the courts, and the court's been told that it's not maybe one person they were in contact with or two person, that potentially there could be over 60 victims, and that's in the modern church. John, listen, thank you.
Like the abusers, the abusers were prolific. They just abused wherever they went, and the church dealt with it by just turning a blind eye or moving them on when the bishop was pressurised. But like at this point, the Martins have released the details of their
and John, I'm going
story.
to bid you farewell because Margaret and Paul is going to be joining me in studio very shortly. Thank you so much for helping us give the background to this story for those who may not be aware. And it's shocking, and it needs to be a lesson that things like this cannot ever happen again, be it in the realm of the church or other areas of where potentially adults could abuse the position of trust or power. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Greg.
Bye-bye. Take care. And well done, by the way, in what you've done for not just the sisters, but actually other victims of these horrendous crimes.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Running a business isn't easy, but accessing support should be. The new National Enterprise Hub is the single source for all government support for your business. With over 180 supports in one place, it's easier than ever to find grants, advice, training, and more. And don't worry about not knowing what you need. Our helpful team will guide you every step of the way. Visit neh.gov.ie to learn how we can help. The National Enterprise Hub. Support starts here, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Thank you for attending this meditation session for badgers who forgot to check for gas pipes before digging, without knowing how disruptive it could be, putting others at risk and doing it unknowingly for all their working life. And it could have been avoided had they just checked in the first place. Let's begin.
Always check for gas pipelines before you break ground. Visit gasnetworks.ie/dig for more information.
For the biggest names in perfume and aftershaves, visit McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Dolce & Gabbana, Paco Rabanne, Carolina Herrera, Calvin Klein, Jimmy Choo and Burberry, Ariana Grande, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Vera Wang and many more. From timeless classics to celebrity favourites, there's a perfume or aftershave for everyone at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie.
Get ready, Donegal. The big Highland Bingo Party is here.
On Saturday the 29th of November, the Villa Rose Hotel, Ballybofey, transforms into the wildest Christmas party of the year.
Hosted by me, Keith Fletcher, Lee Gooch and Marty Friel on the decks.
Think festive cocktails, classic party anthems, ridiculous games of course, and mad bingo mayhem.
Loads of prizes on the night with a €1,000 top cash prize up for grabs.
You better be quick. Tickets are on sale. Grab yours on Eventbrite or check out highlandradio.com.
The big Highland Bingo Party. Over 18s.
Ha-ha! It's bingo, but not as you know it.
I'm joined in studio now by Margaret Martin. Good morning, Margaret.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you so much for joining us, and also Paula Martin. Paula,
Morning.
thank you for coming in to us. How are you feeling this week? I suppose you knew this was coming, right? But I'm on about in terms of actually that apology out there. Paula, I'll ask you first, if that's all right.
Actually, yesterday, listening to your show, I was relieved. I said, this is finally coming to the end for us, because this is what we wanted. All along, we really wanted this. This was really important to us. And so therefore, it was like completion, the beginning of the completion.
And that's it, because, whilst one would hope that this, I think as you phrased it yourself, allows the wounds to begin to heal, that's a road you've yet to walk in reality, isn't it? Margaret, I just can't imagine what it must have been like. And of course, when I talk about things that are personal, I take the guidance from the guests. And if there's any inappropriate questions, you just literally move on, because this is your story. But I'd just be curious if you want to talk about how much sort of courage it took in 1994 to come forward in the first instance, and what your expectations were in doing so.
It took huge courage, but I think that I found the courage in having watched Paula struggle as she tried to come to terms with what had happened for a number of years before that. And I actually was very concerned that I was going to lose her. And so that gave me the courage at that point to accompany her. And she had been receiving help and counselling to support her to come forward. So that was where the courage began. And I expected a conversation after that. I didn't expect silence. And I think that's where the wound with the church began, because there was complete silence.
Paula, I can only imagine when you're sort of processing an experience and getting to this point and the build up to it and what your expectations might be, that it must feel like a continuation of abuse when you put yourself out there to a person in a position of authority, and you would hope trust, and then, as Margaret mentioned, silence.
It was just kind of unbelievable. We kind of waited and then, as John said, Bishop Hegarty was moved. So that was kind of the first shock. And then there was a space, and nothing happened. We said, okay, there's no bishop there to take. And then Bishop Boyce came along. We said, we waited. And in the middle of that, we were getting on with our lives. But I just want to go back to one thing about 1994. As difficult as it was to go there, and for younger people, 1994 was a very different time, and that's only 30 years ago, but a lot has changed, especially around this whole area of child sexual abuse. And when we went there, Bishop Hegarty did not say to us, I believe you. He didn't say he didn't believe us, but he didn't say, I 100% believe what you're saying.
Right, which is important, yeah.
So, there's a slight, just that difference is that that's there. And the other thing is that we did not know until very recently that Con Cunningham in 1994 admitted to what he had done. We had no idea, and it came as quite a shock to us that he admitted then, because we thought that he hadn't. And so that's just one thing that I just want to...
massive, really, isn't it? Because it then wasn't necessarily that you weren't listened to. The facts were out there, and decisions were made with far more knowledge and sources.
And he was also sent for assessment, and we weren't aware of any of those things. But the church of that time had the pieces of information from us. Then they also knew that because he admitted to it, and whatever the results were of assessments, it wasn't that they didn't have solid information. And I think that was a real shock to Margaret and myself, from that we only discovered recently. That the admission, I think that was horrendous. It was really, you talk about another wound, it really was a wound to listen to that they actually knew.
What element of that hurt so much, Paula? I mean, it's obviously obvious, right? But I just want to make sure we fully understand why that would compound the abuse so much.
Total disrespect for Margaret and myself and the story we told, dismissal, and the arrogance of it.
Okay.
It was hard to listen to.
So in the intervening years from 94, as we move forward in the time, like Margaret, did like months run into months, and then months run into years? Like what were you getting back from the church or from any authorities in relation to this opening up that you had in 1994 for yourselves? But presumably you would imagine that instantly this person is removed, that no one else could ever endure, what his former victims had to endure. What was happening? Was there any communication? And did time,
Yes, months became years, and there was silence, and all through that time, certainly there was an expectation that we would be contacted, and when Bishop Boyce took over, we hoped that he would then pick up the file and contact us, and that some action would be taken. So in all of those years of silence, really, we just were left doubting, what point there had been really in coming forward and disclosing this information. And did the church really take the welfare of the children of the diocese seriously?
It's just picking up on the information that you learned relatively recently that that I have to be very careful here. Con Cunningham had admitted early on in this process. It's not referenced in the press release from the diocese. They referenced that time that you were believed. Would you have liked to have seen a reference to the church having that information in the mid-90s in the apology? Or does that not matter? Not really, everything matters, but you understand in the wider scale of things.
Sorry, I'm just in the apology.
Yes, I just note that they reference that you were not informed that you were believed, but you actually weren't even informed that the person responsible had admitted. It just would have been an interesting inclusion in that apology. But I'll move on from that. That's just my observation.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. What is the next interaction then from the first interaction in 1994? The next big date that you would sort of see on this story?
In that, it was 2002. And then the files, it was requested that all files from the diocese be handed over to the Garda. And again, I got a phone call, Margaret didn't. I got a phone call to say that this was happening, and about 2 or 3 days later I got a call from the Garda, and within a day or two we were both being interviewed by the Garda, and then we would return to the church and have an interview with them, and then we were back to the Garda station. So in a period of 3 weeks we were going from Garda to the church, Garda to church. We were two mothers. We had to get up and go to work every day. So it was very traumatic time. I think I really felt re-traumatized again, because I had no preparation. I had no support. I had been to counselling up until 2001, I think. So I had left counselling, so I was beginning just to find my feet on my own, and so therefore I was really traumatized by this. I was frightened because I didn't know where I was going. Didn't know what the next step was. I had no control of this because I had no input into the decision to hand these files over. So and I know Margaret was the same, we were both in Garda stations talking about very detailed things that were extremely difficult.
And
without support. or
exactly,
preparation.
you would hope now things would be different even in that area.
Yeah.
Because that is whether the intent is there or not, and I'm sure there was no intent from the Garda, but that is
No.
re-traumatizing. No supports, no safety net, no. You know, no deep dive into if this was affecting your welfare at that time.
No. And it was new to them. It was new to the Gardaí. I mean, this was a new development. So they were probably trying to grapple with that as well, without having maybe people trained properly. I mean, I'm not taking away from anyone that we spoke to, but I don't think they were prepared for that type of activity as well, or interviews.
Between now and then, would you have known the location or movements of Cunningham? I would imagine what happens if I walk into a shop and this person is there. Was that part of the process as well, Margaret?
Yes. I mean, after 2002, really, we didn't really want to know where he was.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want to know anything more about him. We really wanted him to be out of our lives and out of our memory. But yes, there was always a background concern if you saw somebody of that shape anywhere in the distance. You know, there was a sharp intake of breath, because it was like, you know, so it never really went away. It was present always.
But again, in that second interaction, obviously with the church, the motivation was to ensure that other children could not be abused by this person.
Absolutely. And I think, unfortunately, at that point, we were kind of left between two bodies with absolutely no support. So therefore, we sank because we weren't in a place really where we were fit to actually take a case. And without being fit to take a case, there wasn't any case. So that was a very difficult.
But because of what you two did, he did admit in a more formal way his responsibility, and also resigned. But we heard from John that that's not the whole story as well. But from a church perspective, that he couldn't be in a position of trust within the church to do this to anybody else.
Yeah.
Was that seen as a hollow victory, a big victory, or were you so traumatized with what you're going through at that time you weren't able to sort of process it? Or Paula?
I think we were naive at the time. When I look back, and I think we were naive because I was 100% sure that the church was going to deal with this, that they were going to deal with this properly, because now they knew actually we requested in 2002 that Con Cunningham be confronted, because to date, for us, until 2002, I felt it was our word but our word was just, you know, we didn't have a confirmation that he had admitted to this prior to 2002. We weren't aware.
Yeah.
So in 2002, it was really important. I wanted him, we both wanted him confronted, so that they would say, yes, okay, now he said this, we know this has happened. So I was convinced that they would look after it. I really thought, okay, we've done enough.
But it's unimaginable that they wouldn't. This is some of the, outside of murder and what have you, these are some of the most heinous things any human person could be responsible for. Yeah. So you do everything you can, surely.
Surely, yeah.
But there was something cultural that, whatever it is, maybe it was a general view of children at that time or something, that the shock and awe of these accusations, stuff didn't kick in that you would hope would kick in regular society.
Yeah.
You decided, according to their statement, and I just want to make sure, as they phrased it, as the diocese phrased it's the truth, you decided at that point that you didn't want to proceed further with a criminal complaint. Is this in the knowledge that we had done enough, and that something else would happen, that you wouldn't have to go through this because this would be another re-trauma, going through trauma again for you guys?
Well, I just felt at that in 2002, in terms of my recovery and my mental health, I couldn't, and I know, hand on heart, I had 2 young babies at home. I knew that I could not go down this road because my children, my boys, would lose their mother in the process. And there was no way I was going to let that happen.
Mm-hmm.
My boys now were my priority. And being the best mother I could be was my priority. And I couldn't risk a deterioration in my mental health at that time. I couldn't. I wouldn't have. I know I wouldn't have survived.
No one could expect you to. I mean, it's astonishing. Yeah, I get you 100%. Yeah.
And I couldn't. But and we genuinely thought we had done enough. We really genuinely thought. But later, maybe after 2015, 16, we were getting little bits of information that really we were getting concerned about maybe what had not happened and what we thought would have happened in terms of monitoring Con Cunningham, who was an extremely difficult man. He was an extremely
very manipulative too, by the sounds of things. It's not only what monitoring might not have been happening, it's what could happen as a result of him not being monitored. And that is, which I think been a core of all of this, is, not only for yourselves, but to prevent any other children. And you weren't given, enough was not happening, especially after you went through this twice and more.
Yeah.
Enough wasn't being happening to ensure this could never happen to another child. The most unthinkable. Then, what happened then, Margaret, whereby you felt that the time was right, or you had to engage criminally again in this process?
Well, the very brave person who came forward in 2018 and took the first case made it really clear to us that we couldn't stay silent any longer, that we had to add our voice to this story. And we could no longer be silent and hope that the church were fulfilling their role, because it felt obvious that they weren't. So we actually went to John first, John McTeer, and thank you, John. He didn't question us. He trusted that we were telling the truth and trusted our story, and he printed it. And we really hadn't thought through what steps we were taking. Yeah. All we wanted was to say, this also happened to us. And so the process really began after that then. We really had to go back and re-look then at where we were going to go, and that then began really the criminal procedure.
Which eventually ended up in a sentence.
Yeah.
2021.
And what was your reaction to that sentence, Paula?
Well, I suppose there was relief. That there was just a little edge, that we knew this is only dealing with one piece of the injustice. And so I think we walked out of the court that day and we looked at each other and we said, this is part one. And this is done. And we agreed that we would give ourselves a bit of space and time to sort of just get a break from what had happened. And we didn't have to wait too long. I would say about 2 months, and we were saying, we need to do something now.
Batteries are charged, let's crack on with part two.
We have to do something else, because there's still a huge piece for us, and that was the hurt that was inflicted on us from the church, from their lack of...
Multi-generational.
Yeah.
From kids to teens to 20s to 30s to 40s. It was,
a lifetime
of just re-hurting.
Yeah. So we decided, we had no idea. We had no idea how we were going to do the next part. There was no cases to look at.
No process to follow.
There was no process to follow, so we were really stepping into something very different, and we had no idea. So we went first to a solicitor, and we went to Caldwell and Robinson, and we spoke to a girl there called Kira, and then she left the firm very shortly after we went, and then we spoke to somebody else, and then we were trying again, and then a lady called Rowena Conlon walked into that company, and she got us.
Mm-hmm.
She understood, and I think what she understood is she understood the pain that we were still carrying. She had done a lot of work with the redress board prior to that, so none of this was new to her. So we knew we had the right person. So,
and the statement released from the diocese, is it everything you could have wanted in sort of recognising in the timelines the failures, what was gotten wrong, what you were putting through, and beyond what the church got wrong, what the church put you through in some of their actions, i.e. for thrusting you into the criminal process and all of that kind of stuff. There's a lot in there, Margaret. Do you feel now this genuinely is that part too, that you can sort of, do a bit of media, and this is very important for other people, by the way. Now you've set a pathway. You talked of the pathway not being there, Paula, for this process. You've set that now. But is the statement complete, Margaret, as far as you're concerned?
Yes, I do think it's complete. And I think that it has really covered the timeline from the beginning, and the apology is covering all of the time. And I really feel that it speaks from the heart. And at the end of the process that we had, which was very difficult, but actually also very beneficial, that I finally felt understood, and that the church understood why the wound had remained all this time, and the importance of engagement. So yes, I do feel that it has come from the heart, and that for my heart is really important.
I know you thank so many people in your statement, and I mean, I think the greatest thanks has to go to you two as well, because there are victims that you've given a voice to, or given a face to, your normal people, that people can be believed and should be believed. People should come forward. There's no doubt, I would hope, that you've, whilst it should have been more with better actions from the church, you've prevented other people going through what you went through, and pulled the curtain back so that there's a level of transparency now that we can hope that something like that can never ever happen again. Now, you did that having gone through the most horrible experience of a lifetime, but that is you can't quantify the positive impact you've had in this area through what you've gone through, because I think it's going to be far greater than we could articulate.
Well, certainly we hope so. And I just would also just like to acknowledge that it took bravery for the bishops and for Father Kevin Gillespie to engage in the process as well, because we were listened to, and some of that listening was very hard for them. And
you were listened to, but you were heard. You listened to it in the past. This time you were heard,
and we were heard, and as Margaret said, we were understood. But it did take bravery on their part, and I just want to acknowledge that. And that bravery on their part led to a process with the best possible outcome that we could imagine. And when they read that apology to us, there wasn't one word in it that we asked them to change.
Okay. So they got it. They got what needed.
So they got it. And we were overwhelmed by the genuineness of it. And I think then they fully understood how important it was to us.
Okay.
So it has brought a peacefulness to us after a long time. But yes, and that is really important for people to hear. Anyone that is suffering in silence, I think they might be heard in a different way if they come forward. And if one person can do that, I genuinely think that there has been a shift, and we felt that shift from all of the time in our engagement with the church to now. I said we certainly have felt that there has been a shift.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a different world. Sorry, Margaret.
No, I'd just like to add that, you know, the process provided a very safe place. And it was a safe place for all of us to be. And Hannah Carney, who was the mediator, you know, was very capable in that space to provide that a place of possibility.
I hope, and having listened to you, because life is complicated, I really do hope, and I get a sense now, as you said in your statement, that you are now in a place that allows healing to finally close the wounds. Not just for you, but everyone affected by you. You know, your family's looking on. Your sons who want to be able to move.
And your mother is still alive.
And you know, sons that would like to move, take everything from you because they love you so much, and hopefully now they can all get, because everyone's affected by something like this. And I really appreciate you coming in, and I just want to let people know, by the way, and I know the ladies are encouraging this as well, that you can, because of the work that these people, these two ladies in front of me have done, there are mechanisms and supports in place, and they're part of a movement of people that ensured that there's, you know, more transparency and what have you. You can report a concern or complaint of child abuse, either current or historical, to Margaret Northage, the designated liaison person for the diocese, TUSLA, the Garda, and we've got details of free counselling services. I understand for some that this might be bringing up memories of their own childhood that they might be, you know, facing for the first time or what have you, and there's a great responsibility in relation to that as well. So if there's any assistance that we can give, please give us a call, if we can signpost or whatever that might be. But for now, thank you both for coming in,
for having us.
and B, for everything that you've put on the line yourselves, for that's hopefully, well, we know it's helped others as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, that's the 9 till noon show for today. The news is going to be a little late. I just want to thank Margaret and Paula Martin once again, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 9.